Cincinnati is honoring another momentous occasion. A night when Pete Rose, 25 years ago, set the all-time hit record. That's coming up next. Pete Rose, Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. We're in the Queen City, where tonight the king has returned, the hit king of baseball. Pete Rose has returned to Great American Ballpark. We've got that to honor tonight, and we've also got baseball to play. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Cincinnati Reds. Game 2 of the 3-game series. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grant. What a tremendous night here at Great American Ballpark. We honor Pete Rose 25 years ago. Seemed like yesterday, huh?
Well, it does seem like yesterday, George. You know, that film clip of him hitting that base hit off of Eric's shot, we've seen thousands of times in the meantime. I can still hear the call that Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxall made, and it's one of those things where I think the fans are celebrating the fact that they love Pete Rose throughout his whole career, and here he is back, and he's finally getting his day back on the field.
Seemed like just yesterday I was sitting next to you during baseball back in April. It's good to be back again, and it's good to be back seeing a Reds team that's in first place, and we get to see Edinson Volquez.
Well, George, we do get to see Edinson Volquez. I want to welcome you back to the booth. I mean, we've missed you all year long. It's great to have you back in the booth. What have you been doing?
Gardening, clamming, having fun.
Getting a tan and watching baseball from afar. You did the Hall of Fame induction. What are people outside of Cincinnati saying about this Reds team?
Well, it's a team that's for real. I think we all believe that. We talked about it in spring training, and we believe this is a team that's heading towards the postseason, and we've got a lot of that to talk about tonight, Chris. We'll honor baseball. We'll honor this team. We'll honor Pete Rose next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Tonight's Reds broadcast on Fox Sports Ohio is presented in beautiful high definition, courtesy of H.H. Gray. And the fine weather we've got right now is presented courtesy of WKRC. Let's go to Jeff Creighton. Jeff.
Well, the Reds' magic number stands at 17, and they're keeping it interesting. The weather, well, that's going to keep it interesting as well. 76 by that first pitch, 69 by the 7th inning, 67 by that final out, a few showers and storms. Come on, Reds, let's put this thing away.
We'll take the lead from you, Jeff, and there's the man of the hour right there. Aroldis Chapman's giving him a high five. He looks good in the white hat, doesn't he, Chris?
He really does, George. You know, he's happy to be back here at the Major League level. Edinson Volquez is, because he pitched down in A-ball his last start, and he really needed a mechanical adjustment. His previous starts were not all that good, as you can tell. August the 23rd against the Frisco Giants, they lit him up for 5 runs in just 2/3 of an inning. Arizona lit him up before that. He was pretty good coming off of it, but this is what you really should expect out of a guy who's had Tommy John surgery coming back. It's not all nice, easy road when you come back. You battle different things when you have an injury like that, and finding your rhythm, your sea legs, and your control is the most important thing. They made a couple of adjustments with his arm angle down in double A-ball down in Dayton, and they think that may be the key to him to having command in that strike zone and getting that changeup over when he needs to.
Jeff Creighton mentioned a magic number of 17. How about a magic number of 1? One more win, and the Reds will guarantee themselves of a non-losing season, a winning season. Will it come next? We'll find out next. State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks 33 straight years. By Just for Men Mustache and Beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, hey, it's Skyline time. Hey, it's baseball time, and let's check our Cincinnati bell. Pirates starting lineup for John Russell. He'll face Edinson Volquez with Andrew McCutchen in the leadoff spot. And Johnny Russell's kept pretty much the same starting lineup most of the way this month of September. Jose Tabata bat second. Neil Walker, fine young prospect. The 16-game hitting streak comes in hitting third. Garrett Jones, the big first baseman, will hit behind him. Pedro Alvarez, he's got a quick bat. Ryan Doma, the switch hitting catcher, is going to play right. Ronnie Cedeno, the shortstop. Chris Snyder, who came over from Arizona behind the plate, is catching. And Charlie Morton will try to win in second. That is your starting lineup. And here's Edinson, Chris.
Live fastball plus changeup, you know that. But he's still building arm strength, finding his rhythm, trying to come back from Tommy John surgery where he can command the ball in the strike zone where he wants to. I mean, if he shows up with the kind of stuff that he did back in 2008 when he won 17 ball games for this team, it'll be a no-brainer to put him on the postseason roster and run him on out there, because when he is on, he can shut anybody down.
Whoever would have thought it, Chris, but as the Reds head to a possible postseason encounter, there is a question on which pitchers will make a postseason roster, because they've got an overabundance of starters.
You're exactly right. And one decision may already have been made just by the fact that this is Aaron Harang's normal night to start. After coming off the disabled list, he and Volquez were really on the same schedule, and Aaron Harang has been put out in the bullpen. So they've made one decision already.
There's Volquez to McCutchen. That's popped high in the air. Back goes the shortstop Cabrera, looking up into a cloudy sky. He'll haul it in. We had some rain here a little bit earlier. Chance of showers later on, but right now we're ready to play baseball. And here's your Ford defensive alignment for the Reds. Are they good defensively? You bet. They're #1 in the league defensively. Johnny Gomes in left. It'll be Stubbs in center. Cairo making his first start and his 14th career appearance in right. The first time he'll start in right since 2005. The lineup in the infield has Roland, Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto, and Ramon Hernandez is catching Volquez. That guy plays everywhere, Chris. He's played all around the infield. He's a jack of all trades. I call him the secret weapon, and Tony La Russa always called him one of his most favorite players, and now you know why after watching him all year, huh?
Good teams have a guy like that on their team, and he can play anywhere. I mean, if Ryan Doman can play right field for the Pirates, Cairo can fill in a few days here for the Reds.
And yes, that is a glove that he's trying to work in. He has an infield glove. He's got a first baseman's mitt, and the outfield glove is something he keeps packed away in the locker, but he didn't think he'd have to use it, especially in September.
Well, he likes to hit, and the only way you're going to get in the lineup in the National League is you've got to be able to play the field somewhere, and he's filled in everywhere he's been.
Here's Jose Tabata. Boy, what a great young player this young man is. He's in at .307, 4 homers, 26 knocked in. You see the numbers. Against the Reds, he's made an impression already, hitting over .300. Against right-handers on the year, he's at .319 and .276 against lefties. So against his same sider, he's still pretty tough. Good bat speed, huh?
You know, I like this young man. There are a number of these Pirate hitters that we've seen play, and this is a different Pirate team than we saw in the very beginning of the year. They've had such a changeover and so many trades that they've made, young men that they've brought up. But this is a young guy that I think is a keeper.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Coming in hard on the hands at 95. The one thing we've seen since Volquez came back, Chris, his first start or two, that was where he was, 95, 96. Then the velocity dropped a little bit, but he's back up there again.
Well, it's nice to have the velocity, but the other thing that Edinson Volquez does so well, he's got that whippy arm action, and he puts a lot of spin on the ball with his fastball, and you'll see that ball run up and into right-handers an awful lot. Like you saw right there, Ramon Hernandez setting up low and outside, and he tried to hit that spot, but the natural movement of his baseball will take it from the outside corner to a right-hander right back in towards that right-handed hitter. It'll kind of go in this way as Ramon Hernandez is setching it. So it's hard for him to get that outside corner. A lot easier to come in there and just jam those righties.
2-2 again. Hernandez setting up a wave. To Hopper, off the glove of Cabrera into center. And Tabata will be on. Now the first hit for the Buccos comes on a hopper through the middle of the infield. Here's another look.
Looks like he just short-armed it a little bit. He had plenty more of extension left in that left glove hand. If he just put it out there, he would have been able to glove it easily. I think maybe the spin coming off the ground fooled him a little bit. They'll give him a hit.
Tabata says thank you very much. He's on, and here comes Neil Walker. Speaking of hits, he's hit in 16 straight in at .308, 10 homers, 51 knocked in. Son of a former major league pitcher. His dad Tom was a brilliant pitcher in the minor leagues and spent some time in the majors too. Phillips will take the sure out, and there's out number 2 in the inning. No chance for 2 on that one. Brandon, who currently leads second baseman in the National League defensively, oh ho hum, what else is new? He's committed only 3 miscues on the year. Defensively, hasn't missed a beat, but Chris, he won't say it, but you can tell just by looking at him, even watching him take batting practice, that hand is not right offensively.
Well, the hand is not right, and he just doesn't take a day off either. So you know that he's got to be wearing down a little bit, but he also knows how important he is to this ball club.
Here's Garrett Jones, important to this Bucco ball club. He leads them with 20 home runs, 77 knocked in, and a .246 average. Talked to Chris Heisey before the game today. Last night, if you weren't watching, Heisey and Jones bumped into each other at first, and Heisey was a former high school football player. He said, I thought I was bumping into a brick wall. Jones is a big wide body down at first. So Heisey had his back jarred a little bit, and because of Bruce still nursing the pull side muscle, that's why Heisey's not in there, and it's why Cairo's out in right field. And that's why Walt Jocketty and Dusty Baker are looking for another outfield that come up from someplace.
Well, they are, George, but I think the most important thing is starting to get their guys healthy. They hope that Jay Bruce can answer the bell here one of these days.
And Bruce told me he could be back as early as Monday, maybe pinch hit tomorrow. He feels a lot better. Take a look at this collision last night, Chris. It's an oucher.
It was an out waiting to happen, and it was misplayed by the pitcher, who just kind of flipped the ball over the head of Jones at first base, and Heisey had nowhere to go. Jones and Heisey hit the bag at the same time, and Heisey, who had already had a number of little injuries that were nagging him, he's just, to quote Paul Lassard, just kind of beat up right now.
3-0. That's ball 4. 4 wide ones, and there's runners at first and second, and here comes Pedro Alvarez. I don't know that anybody gets to September that's played a lot and isn't knocked up a little bit, and that's certainly true with his Reds club.
Well, you wouldn't hope that would happen with your outfield situation. There was a time here that people were wondering, what are they going to do to scale down the number of outfielders that they have? They've simply got too many for the positions. Well, they traded away Chris Dickerson. Lance Nix was healthy. Now he's on the DL. There's Jay Bruce right there. So they're looking for some healthy bodies right now. But it's better to be injured at this time in September until the very end of September when you're looking at going into the playoffs.
So 2 on, 2 out, and here's Pedro Alvarez, the left-handed swinger. Talking to bat speed, he's got it. This one skied into center field. Here comes Stubbs. Drew will put it in his pocket. Volquez will strand 2. Reds go to work. Brandon Phillips to the bat rack. Volquez will take a breather. Losing seasons for the Reds. Here is your Cincinnati Bell starting lineup for the men from Cincinnati. Brandon Phillips will lead it off. Orlando Cabrera back in the starting lineup batting second. Joey Votto, a Triple Crown candidate. Scott Rowland, who's a .320 career hitter in his career against the Buccos, will bat in the cleanup spot. Then Johnny Gomes, Ramon Hernandez will catch Volquez, and he'll hit behind him. Stubbs, Cairo at Great American Ballpark. He likes to hit here. And Edinson Volquez in at 125. That's your Cincinnati Bell starting lineup. Speaking of looking for a win, Charlie Morton sure is, Chris.
I would imagine so. If your record is 1-11, you're wondering if there's another win in the bag out there somewhere for you. And it's mystifying the people that have seen this young man pitch in his minor league career to see him struggle so much. He's got all 4 pitches, and a couple of them are plus ones, including his big 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock curveball. But he simply needs better command. He has not gone any longer in a ball game than 3 2/3 innings in each of his last 3 starts. So he's ripe for the taking if the Reds are ready.
Ready to go to work here. First pitch swinging. Phillips to right down the right field line. But there is Ryan Doman, who will haul it in for the first out. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Buccos. The Buccos have had a host of different players at different positions. They've suffered defensively, but this is pretty much the starting lineup they've gone with at the second half of the season. Tabitha, McCutchen, and Domit, the former catcher in right. Alvarez, Cedeno, Walker, Garrett Jones at first, and Chris Snyder, who came over from Arizona behind the plate. That's your 4 defensive alignment. Snyder, of course, made his debut against the Reds back in 2004 with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Call all the way up from Double-A. Regarded as a good catch and throw guy, and he wishes he could have a catch back from last night. It was his bobble of a ball at home plate that would have been a force out that enabled the Reds on a Johnny Gomes dribbler to win the ball game. But I think Dusty Baker will take it, especially after having a steal of home loss in Colorado.
You almost feel like you hit rock bottom when you lose a ball game that way. Maybe the only worst way to lose a ball game is to balk the run in. Well, it was a heads-up play by Chris Nelson. You got to tip your hat to the Rockies right there. But at the same time, if you're the Reds, you were reeling in Colorado. Nothing like coming home and playing a team like the Pirates, who have struggled so mightily on the road. I mean, they're easily the worst road team in all of baseball. They have lost. The Pirates said, here's the play that won the ball game last night for the Reds. Snyder looked like he had it in his glove and couldn't hold on to it.
We've had walk-off homers, walk-off singles, walk-off wild pitches, a walk-off bobble. Now, are you talking about balks because Bob Davidson is here tonight?
Well, he had a couple of problems last night. Bob Davidson did. It's been a rough week for the umpire who is now at first base.
Chris Spire admiring the hats that they're all wearing tonight. Pretty slick, huh? As we honor Pete Rose, and as the night progresses, we'll show you more of those highlights. Down to third. Alvarez throws it high and won't get down in time. Now, for so many years, Chris, we watched down at third when you never knew what would happen to a ball hit down there. Now the Reds have Scott rolling because he does everything perfect. Here, Alvarez gets his feet caught up, and here's the result.
Well, we saw Alvarez make some real good plays last night on some slow rollers, some bunt attempts. He's got a very strong arm. But from what the scouts tell me, he's still erratic. And you see he got underneath that ball a little bit and fired it over the head of the first baseman, Jones, who, by the time he comes down, he had a hustling Cabrera going across the bag.
There's some who believe before it's all said and done, his bat will keep him in the majors, but they may move him from third to first. But he's very definitely a fine young prospect. He'll be charged with an error, so 1 out, 1 on, and here's Joey Votto. Joey at 320, 32 homers. Oh, no.
He was going first pitch.
I picked the right time to throw over and the wrong time to go early for Cabrera.
Well, they really want to take it to the Pirates, and you see Cabrera right there. Looks like he was on his way to go to second base, and he'll have to do it again next time.
Well, the Reds base runner erased just like that. There's 2 away. And Votto steps in now with no one on. It changes the dynamics of the inning because no longer do you have the first baseman covering down at first in that hole on the right side. Everybody back to even Steven strength, and here's Joey. In his career against Morton, he's 1 for 8. This Reds lineup is pretty impressive. Phillips is 4 for 10 against Morton. Rowland is 4 for 10. Gomes is 3 for 10. Hernandez 3 for 4. Joey, one that has struggled, 1 for 8 against Morton in their previous matchups. But against the Pirates in his career, 371. He's like Bucko pitching. Oh, and 2. Last 2 nights, that's where Joey's been behind in the count.
He didn't look at all good last night against Paul Maholm. In fact, Maholm has owned him really in his career, and it looked like that he went into some kind of a trance almost, where he was guessing what Maholm was throwing, and Maholm kept 1 step ahead of him. In fact, he took a call third strike on a pitch. It looked like he was looking at a 3-0 pitch. Boy, that's a pretty good fastball from a guy with a 1-11 record.
Reds, even with the runner on an error, go 1-2-3. Domit, the switch hitter, up when we return. Out serious lawyers for serious injuries. Homer Bailey was sure serious last night, Chris.
Well, you know what? He's owned the Pirates in his whole career, but what he did last year, you see between September and October of 2009, he was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. 4-1, 2-8 earned run average. And here since August 15th, he's putting on a little similar kind of approach. Homer Bailey was lights out last night, and you hope that he can continue that, because when he throws the ball where he wants to, he's got the stuff to be a top of the rotation type pitcher.
And noticeably last night, Chris, it didn't appear that he was shaking Ryan Hannigan off very much at all.
Well, I think that's something that they've talked about ever since he gave up that 3-run home run to Matt Holliday in St. Louis on a pitch that he shook Hannigan twice off of before he decided to try to sneak a fastball by him. I don't think that's something that he'll do very much anymore.
Maybe one of the key at-bats last night came with this guy at the plate, Ryan Domit. And the Reds leading at that time with the tying run at the plate. He got Domit, jammed him on a fastball, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball late in the game, so he still had some heat late.
He did. He was a little more efficient early on. That's why he was in there in the 7th inning.
Domit pops this one up with the shift on. Rollins over toward short. He'll haul it in. Almost all the time, the Reds will overshift on Domit when he hits from the right side, from the left batter's box against the right-hander. Domit, the switch hitter, and he's in there because of his offense. Ryan was the catcher here for the better part of 2 years with Snyder in town. He'll catch some, but he'll play some first and some right field. 1 away, and here comes Cedeno. Here in Cincinnati, the number 13, of course, will always be remembered for Davey Concepcion. And Ronnie Cedeno wears that in honor of Senor Concepcion. In fact, he took the number that Carlos Garcia wishes he had. Every time we saw Carlos playing, Chris, he was wearing 13 in honor of his former Venezuelan alum. Garcia, of course, now a coach, wore number 13. Cedeno got it because he got here before Garcia last year. So Carlos is wearing number 12. He's down in the first base coach's box. In the third base coach's box is Tony Beasley for the Buccos tonight. There's Tony. And there's not number 13, number 12. He looks strange in number 12, doesn't he? Cedeno at 245, 6 homers, 31 knocked in. He's stolen 12 bases on the year, so he gives the club a little bit of speed deep in the lineup. He's bounced around all over the place, and he's, since Jack Wilson was traded away, been the shortstop here for the better part of the last 2 seasons. A lot of people have come and gone in the Bucco uniform, and add it all up, 18 straight losing years for Pirate fans. A very difficult tenure for Johnny Russell, the manager, the former catcher in the major leagues. Caught Nolan Ryan's 6th no-hitter back in the 80s, and now he's talking to himself after 18 straight losing seasons.
So they've got a lot of people in baseball scratching their heads about some of the things that they've done recently. I'll tell you what, that's as good as a fastball as we've seen Edinson Volquez throw in a long time right there. 96 on the black, on the knees. Cedeno does a smart thing and saves himself the embarrassment and can walk back with a little bit of pride by a called strike 3.
Right on the money.
Forget about it. And one of the things I was referring to with the Pittsburgh Pirates is that they extended the contracts of the general manager and their manager, but they never made a press release. They kind of almost wanted to keep it quiet, secretive. And those are the kind of things that some people around baseball are kind of shaking their head at. That and the fact that it was recently released on a couple of different websites and then backed up authoritatively that there were financials released, but they were taking money that they receive in revenue sharing and not plowing it back into their payroll, but giving dividends back to their owners. And I'm not so sure that the rest of the ownership around Major League Baseball figures that that is what revenue sharing is all about. Certainly not Pirate fans to thinking, hey, if you got money you're getting back and we're only winning 47 games a year.
Quietly, there were some representatives from other ball clubs who were happy that the numbers came out. Volquez happy with these numbers. Back-to-back strikeouts, 1, 2, 3. Reds go back to work. Rolen will lead it off. A great baseball guy, Buddy Bell, and a great Cincinnati. And if you were a young ball player from Cincinnati, he's who you wanted to be. It wasn't just the hits he accumulated, it was how he played the game. Buddy Bell on Pete Rose. And that's it, Chris. The way Pete Rose played the game, you have to admire, you have to honor, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame for that.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, him not being in the Hall of Fame, we could go on and on for days and years of debating that. But I think that if you grew up in Cincinnati watching Pete Rose like Buddy Bell did, and if you didn't emulate his style of play, you weren't being a Cincinnatian. You weren't playing as hard as you could. And I think that's really the essence of it all. I mean, he played hard. He was the guy that our coaches growing up said, hey, there's a guy with no talent at all. Look at him. He's at the top of the major league profession. You know, if you could just hustle your way like Pete Rose, you know, you win some ball games. And that was what the driving force of so many young players who've come out of Cincinnati and played. And this is one of the most knowledgeable baseball bases in all of baseball. And I think Pete Rose had a lot to do with that.
Much like the guy at the plate, Scott Rolen, the consummate professional in his own right. 6-time and All-Star this year. There's a liner into the left field corner. It's a fair ball. Rolen rolls around first. He'll cruise into second with a 2-base hit. Scott Rolen has a double. His 23rd of the season.
Nice to see Scott swinging the bat a little bit because he was really mired in somewhat of a pretty big slump on this last road trip, and he did look a little bit out of whack, but he gets a hanging breaking ball right there from Charlie Morton, and he rips it down the line.
Yeah, Chris, I've been with the team here and there, but not all season. But I mean, for me, the difference in this team from the last few years is not just the young players that have come up, but the likes of Rolen, Cabrera, Cairo, Russ Springer, Jim Edmonds, Arthur Rhodes, the veterans who've been able to bring these young players around. So it's not just the numbers. The 32 doubles tell you one story, but their leadership has made a difference on this ball club with the young players.
I think that's the reason they signed Scott Rowland and Orlando Cabrera for exactly that. They wanted to teach these young guys, and they've got a lot of talent in this organization, how to prepare to win. And I think that he's made a huge difference, Rowland has. And the more you're around him, the more you appreciate seeing that.
Johnny Gomes has provided some energy, trying to roll out of a slump here. He nails this one into center. Rowland had to make sure McCutchen, who plays shallow, couldn't get to it, so he held up, and he'll only get the third. With no one out, no chance to take there.
Well, we're beginning to see why Charlie Morton is 1 win and 11 losses and an earned run average up around 10. He's got a fastball that he throws at 96, but then he spins up these breaking balls up above the waist, and that one's like the old cement mixer right there. All that had was a little side-to-side spin on it, and it was going nowhere. He hung a curveball to Rowland. He hangs a slider to Johnny Gomes, and he's in a big bit of mess of trouble right here, and Ramon Hernandez can put the Reds on the board.
When Johnny was close to 400 early, Chris, he was going to center and right center. He went into a funk where he started to try to pull everything. Is he going to come out of it here in September?
I think a lot of guys go through that, you know, and he was sitting on 99 home runs for so long. He couldn't wait to get that 100th, and it seems like ever since he got it, he started hitting the ball to right field. Makes him a lot more dangerous.
Here's Ramon, who makes his living to right field and right center, and he gets plunked. Well, this is a catching core that has been hit as many times as anybody in baseball. Corky Miller's been hit nearly 200 times in his career. Ryan Hannigan takes his share, and Hernandez will take this one right on the left thigh.
That's one of these situations where you're a pitcher like Charlie Morton, and you want to throw your two-seam fastball, and you want to sink that ball because you want to get him to hit a ground ball double play, give up a run right there, get a double play, get out of the inning, and he just got his fingers on the side of the baseball. So instead of going down, the ball goes from side to side, and it runs right in on Hernandez and Beansy.
If you haven't followed the Pirates in the second half and you haven't been close to him, you know that Joe Kerrigan was the pitching coach. He was relieved of his duties. Kerrigan and Gary Varsho were each released from their duties last month, and Ray Searage is now the pitching coach. He comes out, talks to Morton, a little checkup from the neck up. With no one out, bases are now loaded, and here's Drew Stubbs.
He needs a strikeout here. Morton does. Stubbs needs to get that ball into the outfield.
They're loaded, middle of the infield, double play depth. Outfield straight away. As I look from afar and watch this club grow and develop, it's been great to watch Drew Stubbs, Chris. He's, still learning, but you can begin to sense that once he starts to cut down that swing a little bit and cut down on his strikeouts, you know his defense is going to keep him here, but he could be an impact player.
He's got the speed you can't teach. And I think when Drew really struggles, it's on soft stuff away. He's got a very quick bat. He can get around on that inside pitch pretty well. But when he tries to cover both sides of the plate, being aware of that inner part of the plate, then try to cover that soft stuff away, that's when he runs into problems. And that's probably where they're going to go right here, down and away with it.
The Reds start today with a 6-game lead over the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals and the Braves are not at 3-3. We'll keep you up to date on that ball game. In the dirt, good block by Snyder. Umpiring crew tonight, Kim Sheeta, the home plate umpire's a crew chief. Bob Davidson's down at first, Scott Barry at second, and Tim Timmons, who was behind the plate last night, is down at third. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dribble down to third, it'll stay foul. University of Texas product who had the enjoyable fortune to spend some time with his former teammate Houston Street when they were in Colorado this past week. He said that was the only good thing about the week. The Reds were swept by the Rockies, but he got to see his former teammate and talk a little baseball.
Also batted against him with the game on the line.
He got him here. Street got him there. 1 for 2. Hit pretty good. A rocket to center, going back. Hauling it in is McCutcheon, and that'll get a run in. Taggett at second and going to third. So the Reds will have first and third as Roland scores. And Gomes goes to third. Good contact.
Yeah, good job by Drew Stubbs to put the ball in play right there, but he had to figure he was getting the fastball. He got ahead of him with a fastball and a slider, and then missed with 2 consecutive curveballs. So, guessing along with the pitcher, he gets a fastball, and I talked about his quick bat. He shows it there.
That felt good, huh? He missed him the first time down the steps, so he came back to. That's just, you got to be a little superstitious on that, don't you?
I guess you do. I never hit a ball that hard to know.
Did you step on the line leaving the field?
You mean one of those early showers?
Yeah. Or when you're back up third. First and third, down to third. They'll get one at second, on to first. They'll turn 2. So the Reds, a great opportunity. Bases loaded, no one out. They'll get one, but Cairo bounces into the inning-ending double play. Ty Cobb became the all-time hit king. Tomorrow after the Reds game, you can celebrate Pete Rose's 4,192nd hit and relive baseball history on Fox Sports Ohio by watching the game on Reds Classic Rewind. Go back to listen to Marty Brenneman, Joe Nuxall in the call, Pete to celebrate, Petey coming on, and Tommy Helms coming on to give him a big hug. And tonight he was honored before the game. Major League Baseball did not allow him to speak to those here, but he was allowed to tape some comments. We'll have some of those comments a little bit later on tonight. Continue to show you some highlights as tonight's game progresses, and then tomorrow on Reds Live before the game at 12:30, we'll have the entirety of the ceremony so you can see it from beginning to end. Here's Edinson facing his counterpart, Charlie Morton. Morton 14 at bats, nothing to show for it so far. Volquez's last start for the Reds was on the 23rd of August at San Francisco. Shortest start of his career. Won to the Showers early, lost 11-2. That was at the major league level. That's line down the right field line, but foul. In his rehab starts, his minor league starts, got himself. One thing we know, he didn't get a haircut while he was down there.
He may have gotten one of those cut. We just wouldn't know which one.
Pirates to a man before the game. Impressed with the way the Reds season has come together. Impressed with this man, Edinson Volquez, on the mound, and very impressed with Aroldis Chapman, who they got a full view of yesterday. Hey, follow the Reds on your iPhone, iPod Touch, BlackBerry, and Android phone with MLB.com's At Bat 2010, featuring play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcast. Don't miss a moment in 2010. Visit Reds.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase. Jesse, you got one of those? You got 2 of them. You got a trunk full of them? Some things never change, Chris.
You can bet on that.
One away. Here's McCutcheon. All right, if you're going to draft a player off this Pittsburgh team, Chris, who would it be? Who do you like the most from what you've seen this year?
Well, you know, this guy would certainly be among those that you would consider. He's a center fielder that covers a lot of ground. He's got good speed. He has 27 stolen bases, and a guy that can pop the ball out of the ballpark from time to time. So it might be McCutcheon. It might be, if you like Neil Walker, he would be one of the guys you consider. I think Pedro Alvarez, only at 22 years old, maybe the book's not really done on him yet. He's still evolving as a player, but I think you're seeing more of a mature player in McCutcheon than any of the other Pirates. they've got some nice players to build around. They showed real good arms coming out of the bullpen last night with Evan Meek and Hanrahan and Chris Resop. All those guys are throwing 94 or above. But what they lack is, 3 or 4 starting pitchers. Paul Maholm pitched a nice game last night, but he's not been like that all year long. And that's what you manage around when you're John Russell of the Pirates. How to manage around bad pitching staff, bad starting pitching.
This is a starting pitching staff that ranks last in the league. They're 16th with an earned run average of over 5.5. Their bullpen a little bit better. There's Maholm. He's always given the Reds trouble. Most lefties have, good lefties for the Reds over the years. 3-2. And like everything else, it didn't start to come together for the Reds until they got better pitching, and even with good young players. And Ryan Doman was saying it before the game. He said, we're a couple of years behind where the Reds are because we don't have a Scott Rowland or a Cabrera or a Cairo to help our young guys grow.
Well, they've also had some tough luck in the draft. And a lot of the guys that they drafted early have not been able to stay healthy and be in the pipeline, especially pitchers. Kind of like the way he plays, though, boy. I'll tell you what, McCutchen runs out every ground ball.
He almost picked the pocket of the Reds. He just was nipped by half a step. Hey, Reds fans, if a Reds player hits one of the Toyota signs in left or center field during today's game, Alex Bussell of Loveland, Ohio, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers.
Now, they gave away a red Tundra, maybe that one or just like it.
That's
tonight.
great.
They had about a dozen different fire departments from the area, and they decided, since at this date no fan has hit that sign, so no fan has won the Tundra, that all the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati Toyota dealers got together. Dusty Baker spun the wheel of fortune. As it turned out, the Florence Fire Department ended up being the winner of that red Tundra. So congratulations.
That's great. And congratulations to the Toyota dealers for getting together to do that. We've been waiting for them to hit that for a while.
And they've got another one in case somebody happens to hit that sign tonight. Don't worry. Plenty of those where that came from, which is probably down in Georgetown.
No balls, 2 strikes. You were out there with your golf club and your 3-wood trying to hit it the other day. Got him. 1, 2, 3 for Volquez. Edinson will go to the bat rack when we return.
Here, of course, in the United States, and serving as honorary captain tonight is the man to my right. He is retired Admiral Thomas R. Richards, and you have commanded 5,000 personnel, over 5,000 personnel, over 25 commands throughout the United States and the world, but you were honorary captain tonight, got to take the scorecard out. How does it stack up?
Well, I don't really think that I've had quite that kind of spotlight on me previously in my career. Always been a lifelong baseball fan, and to have the honor to be there at home plate and do this, really special.
Now tell me about the what exactly is the Naval Special Warfare Foundation? I know that people might have a misconception about it.
Well, the Naval Special Warfare Foundation is what we refer to as a safety net for the families of Naval Special Warfare. When somebody gets injured, or hopefully not killed, but it happens all too often, we're there to help their family in a time of need.
And when you refer to Navy SEALs, people think of, well, they're just fighting for our freedoms in the water. There's much more to it than that, is there not?
There absolutely is. Navy Special Warfare has our primary and special capability in the water. But if you stop and think, once we get to wherever we're going by swimming through the water or over the water, we have to get out of the water and then do all those other things that those other special operations units do. Makes it a little bit tougher.
How special is Patriots Day to you?
I cannot tell you how special it is to be here on September 11th, see everything that the Reds organization has done in recognition of this day. Truly makes me feel proud to be an American.
Well, retired Admiral, it is a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for everything you've done for our country and the men and women that you have trained.
Again, thank you to the Reds organization and to the people of Iowa.
George and Chris, it's a man's man right here.
Well done, JD, and well put. Please, thank you, Rear Admiral. We honor America on this day and honor the memory of nearly 3,000 people who perished in the attack on the Twin Towers in New York. Their families, their sacrifices, as are the sacrifices of all of those who serve our country, are in our hearts and in our memories on this weekend. 2 away, 2 quick outs, and here's Orlando Cabrera, who reached on an error and then was picked off first back in the first inning. Top of 12, Cardinals 3, Atlanta 3, down in Atlanta.
Those are 2 teams that need that ball game very badly.
Cardinals start today 6 games back of the Reds. The Braves, on the other hand, in the Eastern Division, are a game back of the Philadelphia Phils.
Cardinals now 6.5 games back in the wild card. They've got 5 teams ahead of them, or make it 4 teams ahead of them. Schinberger.
1, 2, 3 go the Reds in the 3rd. Here we go to the 4th. The 1 Reds run holding up. Walker will lead it off when we return. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By JTM, food, family, and fun. That's JTM. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Rosie Red, Amy Burgess with a great fan. We toast Pete Rose on this night here at Great American Ballpark, honored before the game. We'll have more on that coming up shortly. As we head to the top of the 4th inning, the switch hitting Neil Walker will lead it off, then Garrett Jones and Pedro Alvarez. He grounded out first time up, the 16-game hitting streak on the line.
Yeah, really, to this point in the ball game, has not been any need for Edinson Volquez to throw anything but fastballs. I mean, his fastball's got plenty of life on it. He seems to be spotting it up where he wants it to go. And he's not messing around a lot with his changeup and his breaking ball. There's his curveball right there, and that's a pretty good one. You know, that was a pitch that he taught himself. You know, when he first came over from the Texas Rangers, he was fastball, changeup, and then slider. But while he was on the disabled list rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, he was watching a tape of him pitching against the Cardinals and against Chris Carpenter, who's got a very good curve. And he studied that tape, studied how Carpenter released the curveball, and really was a self-taught curveball for Volquez that he worked on throughout his rehab. What happens so often, though, is you develop a new pitch and all of a sudden you fall in love with it. And then you look for your fastball that you haven't thrown too much, and it wasn't there. But tonight, he's establishing his heater first.
2 balls, 2 strikes. You talk often, Chris, about Johnny Cueto flying open, and you just saw Volquez trying to talk to himself about the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing goes for every pitcher, even if a finesse pitcher has to stay closed. And what that means is with your front side. For Edinson Volquez, it's this side right here that he's got to make sure that he keeps that side closed and pointed to the catcher as long as he possibly can. This is a little better look at it right here. If you keep that shoulder closed and coming right down the line, you're going to be all right. When you start flying open and that shoulder heads over towards the first base dugout too early, that ball ends up being released too early, goes high and away to a lefty.
Shakes off Hernandez. Here's the 3-2. Hit pretty good to left. Going back, warning track. Reaching for the wall is Gomes. He won't get that far. He'll haul it in and is 1 away. Here's Garrett Jones, and here comes our AT&T trivia question for Esta Noche. What pitcher did Pete Rose have the most hits against? What pitcher did Pete Rose have the most hits against? You didn't qualify for that.
I gave up a hit, Ted. I actually got beat out pretty effectively. And he told me long after, he says, you know, I never figured you out. I said, why? He says, you're the only pitcher I've ever faced, the only pitcher that threw his breaking ball faster than his fastball. I couldn't figure that out.
There was always a link between the two of you, though, wasn't
yeah, that
there?
was it.
Starting with the birthday. That's the one thing I missed about not being here in the middle of April. Wishing you a happy birthday on Pete Rose's birthday.
Pete Rose's birthday, yeah.
August the 14th. Another pretty good picture on that date, too, huh?
April.
Yep.
Yeah, Greg Maddox is on that day.
April 14th, yep. I tell you, I mean, I covered a lot of great events and great runs in my career. One of the most remarkable things I ever saw was Pete Rose when he went after Ty Cobb's hit record, because night after night he entertained the media and he loved every minute of it. I mean, so often you see people blow a gasket, unhappy or whatever. He enjoyed every moment of it. Pop to the left side in foul territory. Roland squeezes it 2 away. You know, and he did it in the right fashion. You know, he would take the media outside the clubhouse to sit. He didn't want to bother people in the clubhouse. Boy, did he put the bat on the ball, didn't he?
He never gave away at bats. I think that's one of the biggest thing about Pete. It didn't matter whether, you know, his ball club was in a 1-run ball game or he was winning or losing by 10 runs. I mean, he always believed that he could win the ball game no matter what. Even if he's down 10-0 to Sandy Koufax, he probably felt in the 9th inning they could still come back and win. That's the way he was. And the other thing is he never gave away at bat, and he would really admonish those hitters on his ball club as a manager. When I played for him, he was a player manager, and he would get all over those guys in a runaway ball game. Say it's 10-3 late in the game, and he'd see a hitter go up there and kind of nonchalant go through that bat and fly out a lazy fly ball to center. He'd take that guy aside and say, "You don't know how long you're going to play this major league game. Why don't you give everything you have in every at bat?" And that's the way Pete played, and that's one reason why he's got more hits than anybody else.
Former Reds PR director Jim Ferguson visited with us before the game today, and Fergie, of course, was there during all those record runs, and he said he never saw anyone that could handle the media better than Pete and handle his teammates in a positive way better than Pete did too. Swing and a miss by Alvarez. And it's 1-2.
I wonder if it would be any different now, though, because the media's changed. I mean, you can't get any privacy if you're a ball player or anybody kind of a public figure. Everybody has camera phones. Everybody wants to take your picture out. And, you know, the media would respect privacy back in the day. They don't have that kind of respect anymore.
That's a high fly ball to right. Back in front of the warning track. Waiting on it is Cairo. He'll squeeze it. 3 balls in the air, 2 flies and a pop-up. Reds still lead at 1-0. When we return, Joey Votto looks for a hit. Spirit with the Cincinnati Reds for the remainder of the 2010 regular season. Students can purchase half-price tickets for select seating sections at Reds home games. Purchase student tickets at the ballpark ticket windows or by logging on to reds.com/students. On the campuses today, the Buckeyes 36, Miami 24. Michigan beat Notre Dame 28-24.
College football underway.
Cincinnati won today, huh?
Big. They should have, and they did.
Big second half. 40-7 over Indiana State. Here's Joey Votto, a guy that's looking for a hit.
Yeah, 0 for 9, 4 strikeouts in his last 9 at bats. And that is very un-Votto-like. But, you know, what we've seen out of Joey is a guy that has been able to avoid a prolonged slump. You know, he works so hard at batting practice. I mean, this guy is in watching video of pitchers. He's watching video of himself. He takes BP. And he's a guy that he'll really get angry with himself in batting practice if he misses a ball that's right down the middle and pops it up into the cage. Other guys slough it off and say, I'll get the next one. But Votto holds himself to higher standards than other people hold him. It's one reason why he's the best player on his team.
3 balls, 1 strike. There's ball 4. You know, Chris, we talked a lot about it when he came through the minor leagues. We watched him very closely through AA to AAA, and a breakout year at AA, then another breakout year at AAA. And I said it from the beginning. He reminds me so much of Don Mattingly. The way he conducts himself, the quiet demeanor, the great work ethic, the amount of time he would spend studying video and in the batting cage. And not just offensively, but defensively. He's become, and I've watched him this year from afar. I mean, his defense has improved measurably this year, and that's hard work.
Well, you know, I think that Joey looks at some of the other great players that are at his position, Adrian Gonzalez, but especially Albert Pujols. And I think that he says, you know, I want to be as good as Albert Pujols. And if you watch Pujols come out early and work as hard as he does, and he does it all the time, I mean, this guy leads the team by example. And I think that's where Joey Votto realized that that's where his niche is. He's not a rah-rah guy at all. In fact, if you can get him to talk to you, you've done a pretty good job.
And that's.
But he is a guy that leads his ball club by the way he acts.
Here's rolling a double first time up. But, you know, one of the things I've seen in his maturity this year is he's handling the media a lot better. He understands that's part of his job as a professional. And he's much more comfortable dealing with that part of the business. And that comes with being a MVP candidate. 2 balls, no strikes to Scott. A looper to short. Votto will get back. Broken bat, soft liner. And there's one away. Here comes Johnny Gomes, and here comes our trivia answer for the night. I'll disqualify myself from this one because I know the answer to this. It's a frequent discussion in a place called Cooperstown. What pitcher did Pete Rose have the most hits against? Any guesses?
Would he be a knuckleball pitcher?
Yes, he would. Nuxie, Phil Niekro. Pete will be the first to tell everybody that, and Phil Niekro will be the first, an Ohio native, to admit it. You got to pitch a lot of years.
You're right about that.
A lot of ball games, and Nuxie was there. Phil and Joe Niekro, the knuckleballing brother combination, won over 500 games between them. One of the great brother combinations ever. The Perrys, Gaylord and Jim, the Deans, of course. 64 hits. Don Sutton 60, and there's Gaylord in there at 42. Of course, Niekro pitched most of those years for Atlanta in the same division. 2 hopper down to Cedeno. They'll get 1 at second, and they'll turn it. So 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. When we return, Domit goes to work. .com to vote for the Reds' top moment that you'd like to see replayed during Sunday's Reds Live postgame show right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Joey Votto's epic at-bat in Los Angeles or the Cuban Missile landing in Cincinnati. There's your choice, Joey or Chapman. Catch the replay. Season 3 premiere will be this November. I kind of like you down in Washington. You're going to replay that?
Which one? Protesting.
When you were protesting. Christian, you still got that on tape?
Well, the good news, I think you're hearing the crowd as they are notified of it on the scoreboard. The Braves beat the Cardinals 6-3 on a 3-run walk-off home run by Alex Gonzalez. So the former Red helps out the Reds again, and the Cardinals continue to reel.
Now, the Reds have struggled a bit this month. The good news has been the Cardinals have struggled more.
Make that magic number 16.
And make the lead right now 6.5. Here's Ryan Domit, popped up to third first time up. Jim Tracy, when he was the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Hamilton, Ohio native, said this young man's going to hit in the major leagues, but I'm not sure that he's going to be getting most of his at-bats as a catcher. It was Tracy that sent him to the minor leagues to work in the outfield and get some work at first. And as it turns out, it's now 4 years later, the Pirates have come to the conclusion that they needed someone else to catch. Chris Snyder was traded for, and Ryan spending most of his time in the outfield or at first. Since Snyder came over. This year, 84 games catching, now 14 in right and 3 at first base for Ryan Domit. He can hit. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cedeno and Snyder will follow. Edinson so far has allowed 1 hit and no runs, and his teammates have backed him up with 2 hits and a run.
The first time through the lineup, Volquez really needed nothing but fastballs. I mean, he had a blazer going early on, and now he's going to the off-speed pitch, and he's settling in real nicely with that. It's 11 in a row that he has shut down. Little backdoor curveball.
It's not always pitch selection, pitch location. That one spun a little bit, but boy, in a perfect spot, huh? Pirates, of course, have their AAA affiliation north of us, the former Reds AAA affiliation in Indianapolis, the Reds AAA affiliation in Louisville. Good luck to Rick Sweet. His team leads in the first playoff series 2-1. They're playing tonight. If they win, they could move on to play Columbus in the playoffs. Hey, this week the NFL regular season kicks off with a doubleheader on Fox, beginning with the Falcons taking on Dennis Dixon and the Steelers. Then Aaron Rodgers and the Packers take on Kevin Kolb and the Eagles. Coverage begins Sunday at 12 o'clock Eastern with the Ford NFL pregame show, brought to you by the all-new Ford Edge Drive 1. And it's great to have a representative from Indianapolis in town with us tonight, Chris. Howard Kelman.
The voice of the Indians, Howard Kelman.
Good to have Howard here. Another great year broadcasting for the Indians.
How many years has Howard been doing that now, Howard? 35 years, all with the Indians?
Started when he was 2.
An icon in the city of Indianapolis.
Just like Max Schumacher and the Schumacher family. A great baseball tradition. 2 away, and here's Snyder. Durham leads Louisville 4-0 in the bottom of the 4th of tonight's game, with the Bats leading in the series 2-1. And Chris, we talk about great, we were wondering last night, you and I were talking about who's your manager of the year. Rick Sweet did another tremendous job at Louisville this year for a team that looked horrible early in the year. He got them playing together, and it got them into the playoffs.
Yeah, you just wonder, George. I mean, in a year in which there are so many major league managerial jobs that might be open, we've counted as many as up to 10 managers that are in the last year of the contract, don't know if they're going to be renewed or extended. And if Rick Sweet will finally get a shot at being on the short list of a major league job, he certainly has proved his worth down in the minor leagues. Reds are very fortunate to have the kind of coaching staff they have, really up and down their minor leagues, but especially there at AAA.
Teddy Power, Smokey Garrett helping them out down there. What a tremendous job they do. 2-2. And great to see a couple of our old friends here. Frankie Kremblis is at Indianapolis, and Jeff Branson is here today with the big club, Pittsburgh. Branson still says his favorite day in baseball was his first game as a Cincinnati Red, driving to the park with Billy Dorn for game number 1. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. How about Volquez? He's got it going. The Reds have a lead. Looking to add on to their lead. Here comes Ramon Hernandez. Maybe this was your greatest memory. Drew Stubbs, that beautiful sun-drenched day at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs for the Red center fielder, who comes in tonight with 16 home runs on the season. One of the memorable days of the season, and a year where the Reds are in first place here in September. It's been a memorable season, and hopefully there'll be a lot more of those kind of moments to come. Stubbs due up second in the inning. Ramon Hernandez, Drew, and then Miguel Cairo. He just continues to get better and better day by day, and it's been great. I mean, even for me being away from the club just to watch from afar. I've joined up with the club 3 or 4 times during the season, but just talking with Drew on how he spent time with Jim Edmonds. Jim hopefully will be back and ready to go within a few days to help the Reds, but the leadership of people like Edmonds and Rowland and Cabrera and Cairo certainly helps these young players develop.
I'll tell you, I would like to see a full year of Jim Edmonds working with Jay Bruce and Chris Heisey and guys like that, because he really is a wealth of knowledge, and he's a guy that, I'm not sure if he's going to play again this year, but he's so valuable just by telling Bruce the little things that he's learned along the way. That's the way you shortcut your way to being a great player. You pick up, you keep your lips shut and your ears wide open.
Number 32 was on fire before he strained his side. He said before the game he might be back as early as Monday. That would be nice. He was red hot before he went on the sidelines. Hit .333 with 8 homers in August. Coming of age. It's not just athletics, but it's the mental approach too. Off the plate, bounce down to third. It'll.
What a play!
Be fair, and they'll get him at first.
Holy smokes! No, they're going to call it a foul ball. The home plate umpire comes in at the very last second, and after he sees the play, he's going to call it foul.
Down at third, Tim Timmons made no sign. The call comes from Tim Sheeta here.
It's clearly a foul ball right there, but it's the Sheeta's call, and he's behind the plate until it crosses the third base bag. As it crosses the bag, then it becomes the responsibility of the third base umpire. But we've seen this young man, Alvarez, make this slow roller play a couple of times, and he has thrown on a one away tonight, but that was a dandy of a play. Let's do it again.
I'm amazed Alvarez even made a play on it.
Well, he had Hernandez running.
It looked like it was spinning foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He almost did it again. Ramon at .304. 17 doubles, a triple, and 6 homers on the season. Pretty good tandem, Chris, you've had all year long, and really it's a 3-way monster, not just 2, because Corky Miller's helped out when needed. Cedeno.
Well, I think the Reds are very fortunate to have Corky in the organization because, you know, he filled in, did a great job, handles pitchers well, can read a scouting report, and can have guys pitch to a scouting report. But, you know, again, if you've got young pitchers or young catchers like Devin Mesoraco coming up, those are the guys who are going to be catchers of the future. And you want them to learn from your cagey veterans, and that's why you want to have a guy like Corky Miller around.
Mesoraco down at Louisville, 26 homers this year, a big-time power year, coming of age maybe. Here's Drew. He's got 16 round trippers of his own. His line drive to center field with the bases loaded produced a run. That's the run that the Reds have on the board, leading at 1-0.
Mesoraco is a perfect example, George, of a guy is the reason why you need so much patience with young players. He was a high school catcher drafted in the first or second round, and he hit miserably. The first few years, he was overmatched. People were telling me how they were knocking the bat out of his hand. This kid's never going to hit. His arm isn't that good. He doesn't know field behind the plate. But he finally had a big come-out year.
Can he turn this into 2? Stubbs around first, going to second, and his speed will get him there. A 2-bagger for Drew Stubbs, runner in scoring position with 1 out. Here comes Cairo, and don't forget, Saturday, October the 2nd, join the Reds for Hispanic Heritage Day at Great American Ballpark. Get here early before the Reds Brewers match up to enjoy the band Tropicoso in the fan zone. Plus, check out dancers and the parade of flags on the field before the game. For info and tickets, call 513-765-7600 or go to reds.com/Hispanic Heritage. Speed's a wonderful thing, huh?
You can't teach it.
So Stubbs sitting in scoring position, and they'll chase him back to second. 5-game hitting streak thanks to this swing.
Well, he likes the ball down, and he likes it on the inner part of the plate, and he hooks that ball to third, down the third base line, and Tabaton gets to it very quickly, but he still can't get to the ball and get it to second base before that speedster gets there. Boy, he's a burner. And his gait is so smooth, you don't realize how much ground he's covering until you look up and see him pulling into second base.
Cairo bounced into an inning-ending double play in the second. Morton and Walker will get their signal straight. They bluff back to second once.
Now, they haven't had a base runner on second base since the second inning, and I think that Walker wanted to go in there just to make sure that he knew what the signs are from the catcher, Chris Snyder, because he's to relay him to the shortstop. So you cheat a little bit if you know a breaking ball is coming as opposed to a fastball.
Another ground ball in the infield. With 1 away, they'll get the out at first. Runner goes to third. So Cairo, 2 weak ground balls to the left side and 2 at bats. And here comes Volquez. These are 2 teams that have renewed the importance of the running game. The Reds have done it at the major league record and at the major league area. And the Pirates have done it through the minor leagues. The Pirates have been in a situation where through the minor leagues they've told their people, their coaches and their general managers and their managers to impress the running game on their young players, hopeful that it'll translate into the major leagues at some point in time. So far it hasn't showed up at the major league level.
Well, you have to have some speedsters to do it. You know, you have certain guys on this ball club. McCutchen is the guy for the Pirates, and Drew Stubbs is the guy for the Reds.
Volquez bounced to third first time up.
Now this is by far the best outing that Charlie Morton has had in quite a while. Mentioned that his last 3 ball games he hasn't gone deeper than 3 2/3 innings into a game. He's held the Reds to 3 hits and a run.
Stuff is there. Pirate people will tell you confidence is a big factor in Morton's difficulties this year.
Well, you know, this ball club is simply can't win on the road. I mean, they've lost 16 of 17 road games, the Pirates have, and you combine that with the fact that the Reds are on a really good home winning streak. They won 5 in a row at home. They've won 9 out of 10, and Morton probably feels like he's got to throw a shutout.
2-0 to show for it. Reds lead 1-0. We're heading to the 6th.
But of course, he ended his career as the hit king with 4,256 home runs. And our Meyer textbook question tonight, we would like to know, what's the most untouchable career record in baseball? Is it Pete Rose's 4,256 hits, Nolan Ryan's 5,714 strikeouts, Cal Ripken's consecutive game streak, Barry Bonds' home run record, or Cy Young's 511 wins? Text 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 to 37664. Standard text message rates apply. We'll have the results coming up. And George Grant, it is so nice to hear you back in the booth. I got to tell you, this is a tough question. This has been bandied about many times. And I've got to think that the pitching records, as much as the other ones are impressive, Cy Young's 511 wins, we might not see a 300-game winner again.
So, J.D., you're saying it's Cy Young.
I'm going with the pitching records.
You agree, Chris?
And Nolan Ryan's strikeouts. I mean, Randy Johnson ended his career. He played forever. And he's still like 1,000 strikeouts short of Nolan Ryan.
I think Rose's hits. I mean, Cy Young, yes. I mean, but you're comparing different generations of baseball, which is impossible to do. So I eliminate Cy Young because that happened so long ago that it's not really modern day baseball. But the first 4 are ones that you really ought to consider. And I think there's no way that anyone is going to play long enough and have the desire and the gamesmanship to get and beat Pete Rose and getting those hits. I mean, he had 9 seasons of 200 or more hits. And, you know, I don't know, maybe Ichiro, if we had seen him on the scene at age 19, would have given him a run at it. But it's going to be taking a very, very special individual that stays healthy and plays a long, long time.
My vote is Cal Ripken, because I don't think anybody will play as long as he played. I mean, this is an era where people make enough money that they don't have to play 15 or 20 years. And to play night after night, game after game, I doubt that'll ever. I don't think anybody will ever come close to that. We'll figure it. 700+ homers. I think folks are right. Bonds' home run total will be eclipsed.
Or maybe they just don't care. Maybe they think he was cheating and they're not going to acknowledge it as a record. I think there's a certain amount of the population that certainly feel like that.
Hey, JD, here's a good one for you before the year's over. Which record is the most devalued today? It's probably the home run record, don't you think, because of all that?
Sure. I would think so. I think there are many people out there watching right now that still have Hank Aaron as their home run champ. They want the asterisk beside that Barry Bonds record.
My hand is raised.
You know, the thing that bothers me about that, though, Ripken's streak is the only one that really is not a performance-based streak. If he plays every day, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Cal Ripken. I think the guy was 7 for 7 off me, okay? So he's a great player. But Rose's hits, strikeouts, home runs, wins, those are performance streaks. and not just playing streaks. I think that Ripken streak really ought to be in a different category. Well, one by one, we're eliminating him, at least in my mind.
Thus, the theory of the text bowl.
The other one that we had on it originally was the DiMaggio 56-game hitting streak. I don't think that's possible.
That will be broken.
Yeah, I think that'll be broken. 2 away, strikeout of McCutchen. Here's Tabata again. Single. Down to short. With the white hats. The men in the white hats are leading 1-0. The Reds go back to work. Top of the order. Brandon Phillips. Volquez looks like he's back on the beam, huh? To the Coors Light freeze cam. The hit king was here, peeking out to see who was here, and they were peeking out to see who was coming. Here comes number 14, and what a great moment. He stomped on first base. That was where he pulled up and retreated after getting the hit that broke Ty Cobb's record. The Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. By the way, the Reds Hall of Fame is going to have that first base that Pete stomped on display tomorrow at 10 a.m. when the doors open. Well, nobody's stomping on it tonight because that guy right there, Edinson Volquez, has been in control. 14 straight, Chris. He's rolling.
Yeah, he is rolling, and it's a good thing, too, because Charlie Morton is rolling. Reds did not figure that this would be such a pitching-dominated series. Yeah, Homer Bailey had a great night. No walks, 7 innings of 9 strikeout baseball, and Volquez is doing just about the same thing. But you got to wonder about the offense not being able to get anything going at all, really, against its Pirate pitching staff.
Brandon's 0 for 3, a fly ball out and 2 groundouts. So 1 away in the 6th, and here comes Cabrera. Orlando reached on an error, was picked off, and then bounced back to the pitcher. You like the white hats?
Yeah, occasionally.
Occasionally. It's a good way
they don't look good on the Pirate uniforms, I'll tell you that.
No.
And there's no red in their uniform at all.
By the way, we talk about there's a liner caught by the first baseman Garrett Jones. We talk about the outfield situation for the Reds. Mike Leake has volunteered to play the outfield if needed, and the way he hits, he might before it's all over.
He's a good athlete. He played a little first base from time to time at Arizona State. I don't know if he ever played outfield, but it's almost unbelievable that you run out of outfielders. I mean, Lance Nix evidently is being real slow to heal. But if they can just make it a few more days, I think Jay Bruce will be back and their problem will be alleviated.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous when you get a pitcher hanging around the bat rack. He's kind of saying, Dusty, I'm here if you need me, right?
Yeah.
Usually the pitchers are way down the other end. When he's sitting next to Brooke Jacoby, then you know we're in trouble.
Well, the other thing is that the Reds have no healthy outfielders on their 40-man roster, or else they'd have them up here.
Mm-hmm.
One candidate who was not on the roster was Vladimir Ballantyne, up here last year, could play outfield, hit for you, but he ended up with one of those side muscle pulls right before the season ended for Louisville. So the Reds have already had to dish off a couple of guys off that 40-man roster. I don't think they were anxious to do that. And that may have been a little bit of a contention between Dusty Baker and the baseball operations people. I mean, manager says, hey, I need another outfielder. And the baseball ops people say, well, we don't have any on the roster right now. And if we have to take somebody off the roster, we may lose a real good young player to somebody else for maybe 3 or 4 days worth of outfield service. So see what you can do in the meantime. And in the meantime, they've done pretty well.
Liner caught by Cedillo. Joey Votto retired. He's 0 for 2 and a walk. Reds still lead at 1-0. Possible with the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. And by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit myCincinnatiHondaDealer.com for current offers. And by Wendy's. You know when it's real. Charlie Morton's been real tonight. He's allowed only 3 hits but a run, a sacrifice fly from Drew Stubbs. Edinson Volquez has been real too. He's allowed only 1 hit. That base hit came in the first, an infield hit. It came off the glove of Cabrera as it rolled into center field.
And he looks real comfortable out there, you know. And this has got to be such an uplifting experience for Dusty Baker and Brian Price to look out there, because for a while there it looked like Volquez was really so out of sync that it was going to take him a while to get back. Did one little tune-up job down in Dayton, and man, he's got all of his pitches working.
There are two sides to every story, Chris. The guy who's got the smile on his face tonight is number 36, because Volquez is out there pitching. You have to feel that Aaron Harang isn't happy about being bumped to the bullpen.
Well, he isn't. Aaron Harang is a professional. He works very hard at it. I mean, there was a time there that he was the best pitcher on this team for a couple of years running. Opening day pitcher this year. He's got a lot of pride. And to struggle the way he has and not be able to stay healthy and come back and do the work that he's wanted to do has got to be very frustrating for him. You know, especially in a year in which they're finally playing well and they're winning ball games, and he hasn't been a huge part of it like he has been in the past. That's tough to swallow. Good guy and a real hard worker. He's a good teammate.
No balls, 2 strikes to Walker. Neal bounced to second, fly to left. 16-game hitting streak on the line. In the dirt. They'll get him at first. Throw a strikeout and a 2-3 put out, 1 away. Here comes Garrett Jones.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're looking for food service solutions that deliver better results, think JTM Food Group.
Did the delivery come this summer?
Michael Pickett must have lost my address again. He was here last night in one of the booths. He calls himself the grill master, but I'll tell you what he has done, George. They've been out to feed our staff.
I know. I've been watching.
The police officers and the community safety officers here at the ballpark a couple times this summer, and it's been great. We really thank JTM for that.
It's always a great night for best crew in baseball. It's great to be back, seeing all the men and women here at the ballpark who help make Reds baseball possible, and bringing you high definition Reds baseball night in and night out. Great to be back working with great professionals, great friends, great people. And there is, Chris, one person tonight that isn't here, and I know you talked about it this week. Daddy Wags, Mark Wagner, passed away this week. He was not only a great professional, but for all of us, a great friend, a guy that helped keep us all together. And our condolences to his wife Kathleen, his mom Betty, his brother Hank, and you and I, and a whole bunch of the Reds Fox Sports Ohio family were at the visitation on Thursday. We went to the funeral yesterday. Joe Sunderman gave a great eulogy at the gravesite. Father Joe was tremendous at church. He'll always be with us. He was one of the brightest lights and the most positive people I've ever known in my life. He had a great faith. He always lit up the room when he came in. And know that he's still with us, huh?
Well, there's no question about that, George. He loved being at work. He was a guy that couldn't wait to be here, and he put his heart into it. And when somebody does that as a colleague, he becomes very dear to you, because you lean on him, and we leaned on him for so many times. The thing that I'll miss the most is other than seeing him here and hearing him and the smile, is that he was the king of the last. When did the last time that happened?
Yep.
And those are tough things to figure out. And he worked the computer, worked the phone lines, and came up with some real nuggets for us. And Wags, we'll miss you forever.
Daddy Wags, we love you. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And how many nights, Chris, were we in San Francisco or San Diego or Los Angeles that, you know, when a game would go extra innings, it'd be back here 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And he'd call up Megan Sheehan from Stats and wake her up and try to get a stat. And then he'd call us. Megan, of course, came here for the services yesterday. Jeff Gowan from Fox out west came. People from all over the country came to pay tribute to a man that we all love. Swing and a miss. 2 strikeouts for Edinson in the inning, and he's got it rolling tonight.
Well, 9 punch-outs for Volquez will tie his season high. Had it against Colorado back in July. But he's got no hit stuff tonight. I mean, the Pirates have got 1 base hit. That was Tabata in the first inning, second batter of the ball game. But really, since that time, he's only walked the batter, and since that walk, he's been lights out to everybody he's faced.
Homer Bailey had the strikeouts working last night, and duplicating it tonight is Edinson. Here's Pedro Alvarez, fly to center, fly to right. Speaking of the young players, this is a first-round pick from 2008. Recalled in June, and he's put solid numbers up since then. Got a little bat speed, huh?
Well, he's got bat speed, but he's not able to pick up the changeup off of Volquez, and that's the beauty of a changeup, is that it comes out of the same arm slot as a fastball. He's seen Volquez's fastball in the mid-90s, so you've got to be ready for it. And he throws it out of the same arm slot tonight, and when he does that, it's just so tough to hang back on it. Even if you hang one up in the strike zone, you've already started your swing. Your feet are moving, your hands are moving, and about halfway to the plate, you realize, whoops, that's a changeup.
2-1. Up and in. That's where they want it. Pirates have struggled with their 18 losing seasons consecutively, but what a great baseball tradition, and they honored that this past week, dedicating a statue for Bill Mazeroski. 1960, the home run that ended the World Series with the Yankees. 50 years ago, Maz honored with another very impressive statue in Pittsburgh. And he got through his speech. He had trouble getting through it in Cooperstown, but he and Mylene got through it. And a great honor for a great man, Bill Mazeroski. What a night so far for Volquez. He strikes out the side in the 7th. We'll keep it right here as we honor America. Here's Joe Zierhusen.
Major League Baseball, the Pirates and the Reds salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as the heroes of our local fire and police departments on this Patriot Day holiday. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome Naval Officer Reuben Miner as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam, God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
For the Granger Player Spotlight, for those who get it done, the Granger Player Spotlight. Memories of Pete Rose. Here's the memories of Scott Rowland. A line shot down the left field line. It'll get past Tabata, and into second will be Rowland. So Rowland has 2 doubles tonight. His double started the rally in the 2nd. And he trotted home with a lone run on the sacrifice fly from Stubbs. Here he starts the 7th with a 2-base hit.
Well, he got a breaking ball the first time up, a hanging curveball. That time that looked like a fastball that he got from Charlie Morton. And Morton sees that ball rocketed down the left field line, hooking away from the left fielder. Tabata looks like he's got it. But the ball somehow gets underneath his glove, underneath his legs, and goes all the way to the wall. So the Reds trying to do some business here.
Right hit back through the middle. That's a base hit. Johnny Gomes will be on first. They'll hold the runner at third with no one out. No reason to take a chance. So back-to-back base hits, and this is the same way the second started. A double by Rolen, a single by Gomes. The Reds had 2 on, nobody out. Ramon was then hit by a pitch to load the bases, and Stubbs' sacrifice fly brought in a run. 2 hardest hit balls of the night, back-to-back.
Yeah, and they've hit them off of fastballs that are up. Ray Searage, the pitching coach of the Pirates, will run out to try to buy some time. They've got action down in the Pirate bullpen.
By the way, you see down in the first base coach's box Billy Hatcher, and it's great to have back in the third base coach's box Mark Berry. Berry last night was unable to answer the bell. He injured his back.
So he's back tonight.
He is back tonight. Good to have the Bear back. So Searage, a little pep talk for Morton, and
you know what Ray Searage is saying? He goes, I'm not really sure how you got out of that bases loaded jam.
Do it again.
In the second inning with only 1 run, but whatever you did, try it again.
You know, Chris, you had a feeling back in the second. Bases loaded, nobody out. Morton comes in 1-11 with a 9.6 earned run average. The Reds had a chance to blow the game wide open then.
They did, but, you know, to pitch a good ball game, sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
Yep.
And he hit Hernandez to load the bases up, got a sacrifice fly on a bullet, and then got a ground ball double play.
Reds trying to expand the lead. Morton, who's already probably given himself a big boost, and you know his Pirate teammates have noticed what he's done tonight. 6 solid innings, and here in the 7th, Ramon comes to the plate, hit by a pitch in the 2nd, and he bounced out in the 5th.
No, they are not going for the double play right here. In the 2nd inning, they were willing to take a double play ball and give up a run, but you see the infielders are all inside here. They're so far close to the infield that they're not going to be able to turn a double play. So they're coming home with it to make sure that Scott Rolen doesn't go anywhere.
Chris Resop loosening in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. In the air to center. Rolen's going to tag. Going back is McCutchen. No chance to throw out Rolen. And it's a similar refrain. A sacrifice fly gets the run in. Listen to this crowd. Get him on, get him over, get him in. The Reds have done it twice and lead it 2-0.
Waited a long time this year to hear you say that, George.
Feels good to say it. Feels good to sit next to you again, too, buddy. Here's Drew. Stubbs lined a shot to center that plated the first run on a sacrifice fly and then doubled in the 5th. So officially 1 for 1.
It'll be tough to double up.
Reds have already had 1 runner picked off. Orlando Cabrera back in the 1st. If you're just joining us, Braves beat the Cardinals 6-3. So the lead right now 6.5 games for Cincinnati. Reds trying to make it 7 again. Good sized lead down at first for Gomes. This one blooped into right. It'll drop. Gomes round second. He's going to try for third. He'll get there easily. First and third for the Reds. John Russell taps on the shoulder of Ray Searage. That may do it right there.
Drew Stubbs looks a little more comfortable, it seems like, over the last week or so, and he takes that ball a little inside-out action. A fastball on the inner part of the plate, instead of trying to pull it, goes the other way. And you work on it over and over again in batting practice, and Brooke Jacoby, the batting coach, has got to be real happy to see him putting it into action during a game.
Time for a Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds lead it 2-0. The Atlanta win moves them into a tie with Philadelphia in the East. In the Central, the Cardinal loss to the Braves 6-3 means the Redbirds are now 6.5 back, 6 in the loss column. at this moment. And in the West, whoever would have thought, Chris, when the Reds go to San Diego back in April, that would be a pivotal series. And when the Reds do go there in 2 weeks, it shapes up as a pivotal series.
Well, they look like they had a pretty solid team and a good pitching staff, and they have proved that throughout the year. Although they stumbled with a 10-game losing streak, they hang on to the lead right now in the West. Charlie Morton's night is done. Looking maybe at loss number 12 on the year against only one win, but he pitched a whole lot better tonight than he has in recent ball games he's been out there. Chris Rhysop was in last night's ball game. Good arm.
Rhysop picked up on waivers back in August from Atlanta. Was it AAA Atlanta, and had a 6-3 record and a nasty ERA.
Kind of interesting that both these pitchers that the Pirates have run out there tonight both came from the Braves. Morton came over in the Nate McLouth deal, and they really thought they had a guy that could set the world on fire with Morton, and he's been struggling with his command. Rhysop, Pirates have been checking the waiver wire daily, and they've made some pretty good deals on that.
Morton came over with Jeff Locke, the left-handed pitcher, and Gorky Hernandez, the center fielder. Both of them have struggled, and they hope Morton will cash in. And really, I mean, all things equal, 6 hits, 2 runs allowed in 6+ innings. That's an improvement for Charlie, and this might be a good turning point for him.
Now, you know, you're looking for something positive. If you're playing for the Pirates and you're looking at 100 losses on the year, and you're looking to run out the string, but from a personal standpoint, you want to finish positive, and I think that's where the Pirates are right now. The Reds, they want to finish positive as a team, and that's a lot easier, a lot better way to be.
First and third, one out. Kairos bounced into a double play and bounced to short. In the air to center with one out. That'll get another run in. Both runners tagging. The run from third will score. Slamming on the brakes is Stubbs at first. Gomes will cross the plate. The Reds lead at 3-0. So you don't see it often, but 3 sacrifice flies for the Reds on this night, and they lead at 3-0.
I mean, it really helps when you cut down your strikeouts. Because a lot of people think, well, what's the difference between a strikeout and a flyout? Well, with a man on third less than 2, it's a run. And the Reds stretch it to 3 with that sacrifice fly.
But the night is over for Morton, and the night is also over for Edinson Volquez. He's pitched brilliantly tonight. He's allowed only 1 hit and no runs. And he will be pinch hit for by Yonder Alonso. Speaking of a man who made adjustments this year, Alonso did. He struggled at AA and then reacted, then struggled at AAA and then reacted in the second half of the season there. So Edinson, Chris, your report card on number 36.
Well, A++. I mean, he's winning 3-0. He's given up 1 hit in 7 innings. It's all about scoreboard, and he has owned the scoreboard tonight. Reds have been real good pinch hitting wise this year.
Loop down the left field line, heading towards the seats. It'll go off a fan in foul territory.
And that's one of the things. You know, they've hit more home runs, I think, as a pinch hitting this year than they have in the last 2 years combined. Batting average wise, compare them. The Reds are second in the league in pinch hitting batting average. The Pirates are, second worst in the league.
And again, the Reds lead the league in going first to third, and it paid off in his inning. Gomes went first to third, then scored on the sacrifice fly. So the little things that have plagued the Reds in recent years have been a bona fide bonus this year. 0-2. Well, you know Yonder's story. Native of Cuba. Reds drafted him out of the University of Miami. He's got a great presence for a young hitter, not just in the batter's box, but around the ballpark too. And he showed the ability to adjust this year, both at the AA and AAA level. And we talked about Alvarez and bat speed. This guy has it too. Protecting it, no balls and 2 strikes. Snyder looks for help from the dugout. Line drive to left. It's curve and it'll go foul. And Chris, you look at hitting coaches, whether you're Brooke Jacoby or down at AAA for the Reds, Smokey Garrett. You look at how players react when they struggle and how they adjust. Yonder Alonso proved this year he can adjust.
You know what? The more I see this kid in the batter's box, the more I like him. I mean, he's got an idea up there. For a young hitter, he's well advanced. I remember the Reds, when they drafted him, said that they wanted to get a hitter who was as close as possible to being a big league hitter. And he's close, if not already there.
I haven't talked to the Reds, but other teams I've talked to this year, and the deals that have been talked about, and the Reds were in the hunt for Cliff Lee in the Cliff Lee deal. They also inquired about Oswalt. And, of course, in the American League, a lot of teams have inquired about him because he'd be a perfect designated hitter in the American League. Protecting again, fouls it off. It stays 0-2. He's making Resop work. And sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't make. The Reds in the hunt for Cliff Lee. That deal did not come through. And now Lee has battled back problems since coming over to Texas. And you wonder, if you had gotten him, would he stay here anyways? And you'd have to give up a lot of young talent, and the Reds have a lot of that. No balls, 2 strikes. Line right at the shortstop, and that'll do it. Good at bat by Yonder, but it ends with a line drive. Reds put 2 more on the board, lead at 3-0. Writer Hal McCoy during tonight's game. Plus, go on campus by checking out student bloggers from Ohio's D1 schools and get the latest news and inside information from a student's perspective. It's only on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. We were looking at pictures before the game tonight of that night, September the 11th of 1985, and I was fortunate to cover a lot of that run by Pete. That night we had Lou Palmer was here and our photographer Jeff Israel, and there was Hal McCoy right by the batting cage, prominent as always, and that's where he's made his living, Chris, for almost 40 years. Hal McCoy by the batting cage is a standard that we've all seen.
Some things never change, and that's good. Nick Massett, boy, what a workhorse he has been. 74 ball games Nick Massett has been in. And he has been very tight lately. I mean, tight as far as giving up anything to the opposition.
Massett will enter the game in Volquez's spot, and entering the game in right field will be Chris Heisey. One change for the Reds defensively. Heisey in right. So it's Heisey, Stubbs, and Gomes in the outfield right now. Swing and a miss by Doman. Ryan tonight popped to second and struck out. Coming of age, we've talked about the offensive players for the Reds who have done that, and in this bullpen we talk about leadership. Arthur Rhodes has provided a lot of that, and it's been great to watch Nick Massett come of age after a struggling first month of the season. He's come into his own.
Well, you got to stick with a guy like Massett because his stuff is there, and you know, he wasn't making pitches, he was walking guys, he was getting behind with his breaking ball. But what we found out, like we did last year, that when he gets it together and keeps his timing right, I mean, he's got 4 pitches that are as good as anybody around, and it's rare to find a short reliever that uses as many different pitches as Massett does.
Oh, he froze him. 0-2, another strikeout. It's been a strikeout kind of night for the Reds. Here's a look.
11 of them for Reds pitching, 10 of them, of course, for Edinson Volquez. This is a splitter that has a little comeback action.
You, of course, penned the Thinking Pitcher, your treatise on baseball that you had online for so many years. You even had a publication that you mailed out for a while. Now, what do you do? What do you tell Nick Massett after that steal of home in Colorado? And he freezes, brain cramp, call it what you want. How do you deal with that?
You tell him to look at third base.
Yep.
I mean, you practice that hundreds of times in spring training over the years, where you have a first and third situation, teams trying a double steal. You see it at the high school level a lot, and amateur level, where they steal a run like that because infielders don't have as good arms. But at the big league level, I mean, the first thing you're taught to do is step off and look where the lead runner is, and he just Didn't do that. Somebody else stepped off, and he looked in the direction of where he heard it. And by that time, Chris Nelson was halfway to home.
Looper into right by Ronnie Cedeno. After striking out twice, he has his first hit.
I don't think it's the kind of thing that haunts you as a relief pitcher. It would be much worse, I think, to give up back-to-back home runs and lose a ball game than to lose it like that. Because then you question, gee, did I throw my breaking ball where I wanted to? Didn't I finish my fastball? And you begin to second guess your stuff.
Here's the former San Francisco Giant, John Bowker, pinch hitting, 5 for 21 on the season.
Good fastball hitter. He likes the ball inside.
Tries to check it, does he?
Mentioned it last night. If you look at Bowker, and if you scout just from a body type perspective, Bowker's a big, strong guy, but for his height, he's got short arms, which tells me he's got a short swing and he's hard to get inside on. So don't try it unless you come way inside. See how quick he is on that fastball in there? But Massett put it in a spot where he wouldn't keep it fair, just a couple of inches off the plate. Now you have him 0-2. You work on the outer part of the plate.
Hernandez looks for help to the bench, gets his sign. To the stretch is Massett. Been a constant turnover of this roster for the Buccos in the last 2 or 3 years, and this year's been no exception. Bowker coming over from San Francisco. Lined into right center. That's going to find its way. 2 hops to the edge of the warning track. It'll go off the wall. Here comes Cedeno around third, and stop it at second will be the pinch hitter. So after a brilliant effort by Edinson Volquez, back-to-back base hits after one are out here in the 8th, puts the Buccos on the board for the first time.
That's how important those extra 2 runs were that the Reds scored in the 7th inning. Without those 2, it's a tie ball game right there. I told you about Bowker. He likes the fastball and he likes it on the inner part of the plate.
So Resop's night is done as Young will pinch hit for him. Cedeno scampers home. Brian Price to the phone. And the Reds get action up in the bullpen. There's Delwyn Young. Los Angeles native. 5th year in the major leagues. The switch hitter steps in. Hitting from the left side against the right-hander Massett. Delwyn Young and Jaramillo are the 2 switch hitters. And on this bench, still available, Brandon Moss from the left side, a guy who had 96 runs batted in Indianapolis this year. Lasting's Millage, the primary pinch hitter, with Andy LaRoche available from the right side. Everyone else out of the minor league run. And there's the big guy.
3rd day in a row. Nice to see that he can come back game after game and tell Dusty Baker, hey, I'm ready to pitch tonight if necessary. It also may be a commentary on how bad that foot is really ailing Arthur Rhodes.
Well, the last 2 times out, Chris, twice he rolled off the mound after delivering a pitch and clearly in agony. Somehow he managed to get the out the Reds needed to keep the game tied. Tap in the bag is Massett. 2 away. Runner goes to 3rd.
Boy, nice play by Votto right there. You get rid of the ball of the pitcher as soon as you can. The sooner the better, because that way the pitcher never gets to the bag at the same time he has to catch the ball. And look how quickly Votto gets rid of it. Says, here it is. So you catch the ball, then a couple steps later you tag the bag.
Good route by Massett, too, to get there quickly. The 2 away runner at 3rd. Back to the top of the order, McCutchen. He's 0 for 3. Pop up, ground out, and strikeout. This has been a come-of-age year for McCutchen. They traded McLeod, they traded Niger Morgan, and he's the man in center field. And he's responded with a .277 average coming in. Marlon Byrd has had a great year for the Cubs. One of the few Cubs that has had a year that's been a positive one. He leads National League center fielders in hits, and McCutchen's behind him, number 2 in the league. 2 balls, no strikes. Yes, missing on a corner. Hernandez held it there for the extra instance, doesn't get the call. Did he go? No, he didn't. Bob Davidson saying so it's 1st and 3rd. The 2 hits and a walk. There are runners at 1st and 3rd. A run is in.
Now this is a little interesting right here because you've got the best base stealer the Pirates have at first base, and Andrew McCutchen. He's got 30 bags on the year, so you got to figure that Tabata is going to give him a chance to steal second base. I mean, the Pirates have had such a tough time scoring runs, and anytime they get a chance to put somebody in scoring position, in all likelihood they're going to try to do that.
Till this inning, the only hit the Buccos had was off this guy's bat, a bouncer through the middle that went off Cabrera's glove back in the 1st. He struck out and grounded out, so he's 1 for 3. And that's right about where he is in his young career against the Reds. He's hit over 300, 308 coming in. With runners in scoring position, he is the best hitter that the Pirates have in the second half of the year. He's in at .407. So they've got the right guy at the plate, and let's see if Massett can handle it.
Interesting first pitch right there, curveball. With a speedster at first, you think he'd throw the fastball, but opted with an off-speed pitch.
Off the hands. Drop hold the hand. It'll score a run. Under the glove of the third baseman Rowland, bobbled by Cabrera. And the end result is the second run of the inning scores. It's a 3-2 ball game, and here comes Dusty Baker.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that even if Scott Rowland gets this ball, they're going to make a play. And even if Orlando Cabrera comes up clean, he's got nowhere to go with that ball. That just happens to be a seeing eye hit in the perfect spot.
So out comes Dusty, and that'll be it for Massett. So while the pitching change takes place, he'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Hot dog play of the game. It came before the game. The United States Navy SEALs here to deliver the game ball to the pitcher's mound in a flash of spectacular presentation as the game began. And this got the attention of everybody in the ballpark, and the guy who just came in got the attention of everybody in the ballpark too. First the Navy SEALs, and then the Cuban Missile. Chris,
these guys are bad dudes right there. That I can guarantee you. The kind of training and what they go through is absolutely incredible. And that was a really neat little thing that they put together there to deliver the ball, and they got a standing ovation from everybody. A big crowd in the ballpark tonight on a nice Saturday, and they will get to see what they came for. A lot of them, Pete Rose and Aroldis Chapman. Third day in a row for Aroldis. He pitched the last game in Colorado. He did an outstanding job in that ball game. He threw 21 pitches and nailed down a strikeout. He pitched in last night's ball game, and here he is to try to get the Reds out of this tough jam in the 8th inning.
Well, there have been a lot of big moments this year for the Reds. And this guy is not just a big young man. He's brought the Reds to another level. His first outing here in Cincinnati, one of the biggest moments of the year.
The people really don't want to sit down when he's on the mound. Have you noticed that?
Big number 54 will face the number 3 hitter Neil Walker. Walker last night faced him and grounded out. He was at 102 last night. We'll see where he is on the gun tonight. And Chris, it kind of reminds you of when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were here chasing the home run race. With every pitch delivered, the flash bulbs are going off all over the ballpark. I mean, it's amazing. They all want a picture of this young Cuban who's captured their hearts. Ball 1. Runners going, and there's a part of the game that they worked on down at AAA and still very much a part of his development, being able to hold runners on. He doesn't hold those two. They both steal a base. So now it's second and third, and a hit can be mortally inflicting 2 runs on the Reds here in the 8th inning.
Wild pitch ties it up.
Bounce back and through. 1 run will score. Here comes the runner around third. And just like that, an Edinson Volquez brilliant night has turned into a Reds trailing score here in the 8th inning.
Kind of the same thing that happened to Homer Bailey last night. Left the ball game with his team in control, but 7 innings of outstanding baseball and ends up with a no D on it. And Volquez will get a no decision tonight, as that ball goes right back through the box, right past the glove of Chapman. He almost has a glove on that baby. But the stolen base right there puts the second runner, the go-ahead run, in scoring position, and that's good news for Neil Walker. Switch hitter. Now you know why so many people like him.
Here's Garrett Jones, 0 for 2 and a walk. So the book closed on Massett. 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 1 walk, and all 4 runs charged to Massett. For Walker, that stretches his hitting streak to 17 straight now.
Big lead down there.
Now, Walt Jocketty said it, Chris, when Chapman went to the minor leagues to start the year. It's not just about throwing 100 miles an hour. It's about learning the finer points of the game. And here, holding runners on, something he's still got to work on.
Well, from what we've been told, though, George, he's come a long, long way in all those facets of a game. He spent half the year as a starter, and then the second half of the year, at least the last couple of months, as a reliever. These are the type of situations you want to get him into. And it also is a learning experience for the Reds to see what his stuff looks like on the second night on consecutive nights, on the third night of consecutive nights. And this is the 3rd day in a row that he's pitched. So there are a lot of interested eyes right now on Aroldis Chapman to see how fast he's throwing, how good his breaking ball is when you use him 3 days in a row. In the playoffs, you just may need to do something similar to that.
Here's the 1-2. They got him picked. And they pick him off. Out at second is the runner Walker, but not before he delivers a base hit. The Reds are going to have to play comeback to win this one. They trail it 4-3. It's Reds Live, brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Another look at Walker, Chris, on first.
Well, he gets picked off first base, and there's no embarrassment about that. But what Walker did was kind of run a looping way to second base, kind of like that, and he gave Joey Votto a great throwing lane. What he could have done was run directly at Cabrera. Had he run directly at Cabrera, and there's no rule against that, Joey Votto, a right-handed thrower, would have had a much harder time finding a throwing lane to throw the ball to Cabrera. And that ball may have hit him in the back, and he could have kept the inning alive. I just bring that up because a lot of young people out there watching the game, and when you get picked off, don't give up.
Line drive to right. There's your new right fielder. John Bowker stays in the game. He goes to right. And with Snyder being pinch hit for, that means that Domit goes from right and back behind the plate. And Evan Meek is the new pitcher, and it's really After Votto was traded, after Matt Capps left in the offseason too, it's been a revolving door in the closer's role, and right now between Evan Meek and Joel Hanrahan, they both have closer stuff. The question is who will take charge on this club. So Meek is in. He gets one out on the line drive off the bat of Brandon Phillips. They both have lively arms. Both have strikeout capability. Meek's averaged about 8 strikeouts per 9. Hanrahan's averaged about 12 strikeouts per 9. Meek, with that sinking fastball, a little more likely to get a ground ball.
I'll tell you what, I was very impressed last night with the 3 pitchers at the end of the ball game that the Pirates ran out there. Chris Rhysop throwing in the mid-90s. Then Meek came in there really blazing it with a pretty good curveball, 2-pitch pitcher. And Hanrahan's got, as you said, George, strikeout stuff. So they have the ability to shorten the game if they ever do get the lead, and they've got one right now.
1 ball, 2 strikes. You add up the club and what are their strong points for this Buccos team. The bullpen has been a bright spot for them. At one point in the year they had almost as many wins out of the bullpen as they had from their starters.
Yeah, you know, when you've got bad starting, though, you expose your bullpen because those guys get so much work early in the year they get burned out. That's why they work the waiver wire to get guys like Rhysop.
Slice down the right field line. It'll reach the seats and be out of play. While their starting pitchers are last in the league with an earned run average of 5.50, their bullpen has a much more respectable 4.5 ERA. And when they have a lead late in the game, they're 40-1 when they lead after 8. 2-2. Line to right center. That's going to drop for a hit. Bowker cuts it off. Cabrera slams on the brakes. He'll get back to first. He was thinking 2 all the way. And he may have had a shot at it if it got by Bowker. But Bowker flagged it down, so he had to hold it first. And here comes the big guy, Joey Votto. That's the way you play the game from both sides. Bowker busting it to get to the ball in the gap, and Orlando Cabrera hustling hard right from the batter's box. You got to like this matchup, though. There's Joey, struck out, walked, and lined out. 0 for his last 10. Trying to find a way to get the Reds at least a tie, maybe more. He's had that kind of a year. 319, 32 homers. The first baseman with 100 runs batted in, and those kind of numbers since Tony Perez days. That's impressive. Doggy was here today for the Pete Rose ceremonies. Breaking ball down and in. Runners in scoring position this year, and late in the game, Joey's been money in the bank. Foul. Against Meek, Votto is 0 for 3 in his career. What's impressed you more than anything, Chris, is when they've tested him and tried to pitch him away, he's got some of his biggest hits away.
Well, you know, he told me not too long ago that he became committed to hitting the ball the other way when he was a kid. And that's where the majority of his big hits have come this year.
2-1. He holds on it. A little high, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Scott rolling on deck. Rolling already tonight. A couple of doubles. He's hit the ball hard 3 times. There are the numbers we talked about. Impressive, huh? 7th inning or later. Can't get him to go for something out of the strike zone. There's a walk, and there's the tying run marching down to second. And here comes Scott Rowland. Doman will go out and talk to Meek. Walker will come in and huddle with him too. And here comes Rowland, who's 1 for 4 in his matchups with Meek. John Russell sends out Ray Searage. They want to make sure they're all on the same page here. Meek, who usually gives you that sinking fastball, he went up out of the strike zone twice, almost like he didn't want any part of Joey Votto.
Well, I think he was trying to overthrow his fastball, thinking, all right, I'm facing one of the best hitters in the league, and maybe my 94-mile-an-hour fastball is not enough. I better hump it up to 95. And when you do that, you often leave it up. Now, I would think that against Scott Rowland, he's thinking about getting the ball down. Rowland, a very good high ball hitter. He's hit the ball hard twice for doubles tonight, and he's also had a line drive to the shortstop. But they're looking for a double play to get out of the inning right here.
Average speed out at second, representing the tying run is Orlando Cabrera. Votto down at first. Here's Scott. Hit the ball hard 3 times, 2 doubles to left, and a line drive to short. Holds on the breaking ball. Didn't go around, says Bob Davidson. Pop to the right side. It'll be out of play. Festive crowd on hand. They had the smiling side of the scoreboard for the better part of the night, leading 3-0. Edinson Volquez, if you just joined us, pitched brilliantly. Volquez went 7 innings, allowed 1 hit, no runs. But uncharacteristically, the bullpen allowed 4 in the 8th, and the Reds are trying to come back here in the bottom of 8. 1 ball, 1 strike. Doman rolls through his signs twice. Breaking ball misses, and it's 2-1. Is there a trademark to this club? Chris, you've been here all year. It's the ability to come back late.
They're among the league leaders in come from behind wins. They just never give up. They've got 40 come from behind wins this year, the Reds do. They have 6 walk-off wins and 20 in their last at bat.
Here's your matchup. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Got to throw him a strike here. You don't want to get that tie runner over to third base with a base on balls.
The 6-time All-Star Scott Rowland digs in.
Chased one maybe out of the strike zone there.
95-mile-an-hour fastball. Another look. Would you throw on 3-1? Do you throw on 3-2?
Well, that's your best pitch, and it is the best pitch for Evan Meek. But that little breaking ball of his is pretty snappy as well. Gas. Best one of the night at 96. And he went right to Scott Rowland's strength, which is upstairs.
3-2 fastball, his best of the night. 96 beats Rowland, and there's your second out of the inning. So it'll be up to Johnny Gomes. Gomes against Meek, 0 for 2.
Gomes has been swinging early in the count tonight. So look for him to be very aggressive right here if he sees a pitch he likes from Evan Meek. Meek's, we know when you've got the kind of stuff Meek has, he's not the kind of pitcher you want to get behind on. So you're looking at the first piece of cheese and jumping all over it.
Cabrera trying to get as much of a lead as he can off second. He represents the tying run. That's a strike.
Surprised he didn't hack.
Tying run on second. Go ahead run down at first. Johnny, a hero last night, even though he didn't hit it hard. A dribbler to the shortstop produced the winning run for the Reds when Snyder dropped the ball at home plate on a force. 0-1, Meek to the stretch. That's Luke foul 0-2. Here's another look last night, Chris.
Well, it looked like the Pirates were going to be on their way to try and get out of this inning. Bat explodes in the hands of Johnny Gomes, Cedeno to Snyder, and it just kind of comes right out of his glove.
We've had walk-off homers, walk-off singles. There's a walk-off bobble. No balls, 2 strikes. $36,000 plus at Great American Ballpark, trying to give Johnny the juice here in the 8th. He's been 94, 95, 96, now 97 miles an hour from Evan Meek. Just did stay alive. The life of a major league manager. John Russell saw nothing but 11 strikeouts dished at him for the first 7 innings, and now all of a sudden he's got a lead and hoping number 47 can end the Reds' threat here. Dusty Baker hoping the Reds can rally again. Battling back. He's even now. Johnny Gomes 2-2. Meek trying to give himself a bit of a pep talk.
Yeah, it looks. I'm not sure exactly what he's saying. It kind of looked like make your pitch, make your pitch. And Gomes, of course, goes through his ritual to get himself ready.
They got him. Well, Meek answered the call. Not Meek at all in the 8th. He strikes out 2. Brolin swinging. Gomes looking. Suit up alongside fellow Reds fans, receive coaching from Reds legends, and enjoy the experiences of a major leaguer at the Reds state-of-the-art complex in Goodyear, Arizona. Also the perfect gift for a die-hard Reds baseball fan. For more info, visit Reds.com/fantasy camp. Tom Browning was here. He's always there for fantasy camp. He was here for the Pete Rose ceremonies today. So was Eric Davis. He's usually there for fantasy camp too, Chris. And Ray Searage giving Evan Meek a pat on the back. Boy, did he slam the door. Well, the Reds will try to keep it where it is, and for one of the few times you're going to see Aroldis Chapman for more than an inning. He came in the 8th, and he'll start the top of the 9th, facing the left-handed swinging Pedro Alvarez, and then Ryan Domit due up second. When possible, you try to turn around Domit. Dusty hoping for the youngster to keep it where it is and his team to rally. Here's Garrett Jones, who was at the plate, a left-handed swinger, when the runner was picked off in the 8th inning. So it's lefty-lefty switching. That's what the Buccos have here in the 9th inning. Garrett walked, popped up, and struck out in the 7th. He was at the plate when the runner was picked off. If you joined us late, the Cardinals did lose today. Atlanta won 6-3 in 12. So the Reds right now a 6.5 game bulge. Votto has it. Chapman there, taps the bat. 1 away. Some people it takes 5 steps to get the first. It takes this guy's 3, Chris.
He's all legs and arms.
I mean, his stride is like Randy Johnson. He reminds you a little bit of J.R. Richard in his young prime when J.R. first came up in Houston. What a majestic specimen is this young left-hander. I mean, you look where his stride ends. It's like an antelope. Imagine being a pitcher following him for the hole that he digs on the mound. If you were, you're a lefty also, Chris. If you had to follow him on the mound, you'd be looking at 2.5 feet ahead of you, where his stride would end.
You're exactly right.
Slider at 87. Here's Pedro. Alvarez flied out, and struck out. He became the 10th strikeout victim of Edinson Volquez in the 7th. 2 away.
Well, he got the fastball was the pitch that he gave up the base hit on, but that slider, George, and we have said this before, and we'll say it for a long time. I hope that you can almost tell a hitter that pitch is coming, and it's so fast and so wicked that it's tough to track it, much less try to put your bat on it.
He made a great comment the other night. I think I'm not sure what night it was, but there's some pitches they are easy to pick up. He gives you great deception, and then the ball just drops off the corner. Explain tracking. Explain what you mean.
Well, I mean, the human eye, you're used to, as a batter, to see a ball come out of a pitcher's hand, and you have to estimate where it's going to be, because you really don't see the ball at impact. I mean, any hitter that tells you that probably maybe sees it in his mind's eye, but you estimate where it's going to be when it's about halfway to the plate. And with Aroldis Chapman, where you estimate that ball on that slider where it's going to be and where it ends up is completely different than most other pitchers, and that's why it's so hard to track. Try to overthrow that slider a little bit, and that's the classic flying right open.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Domit from the right side, hitting only 187 and just about 300 from the left side. This is why you try to turn him around. Zip, zip, zip. Well, Chapman did his job. Can the Reds do theirs as we go to the 9th? Ramon Hernandez will lead it off. Reds trail by 1. We'll put a smile on your face. Every customer, every vehicle, every day. By the Basement Guys. Enter to win the free basement giveaway from the Basement Guys. To enter, go to thebasementguys.com. And by Cincinnati Children's in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in the United States News and World Report 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. 36,000 plus at Great American Ballpark tonight. The night started out honoring America and remembering September the 11th, 9 years ago, when the Twin Towers were attacked, in a moment of silence to commemorate the loss of nearly 3,000 lives. And then the page was turned to commemorate 25 years ago Pete Rose's record hit that passed Ty Cobb. Don't forget, we'll have more on that on Reds Live postgame with Jim Day. And tomorrow on Reds Live before the game, we'll show you all that transpired in tonight's pregame ceremony. And now the Reds are just hoping they can do what they've done all year, find a way to come back. Here's Ramon Hernandez to lead it off. Hit by a pitch, grounded out, and a sacrifice fly plated to run. He bangs this one into center field. It comes off Hanrahan, who comes in for the 2nd straight night. And it's Meek and Hanrahan battling for the right to be the closer.
Well, you got to figure if you're Ramon Hernandez, you're getting the first pitch fastball from Hanrahan. Mid to high 90s with his fastball, has a good breaking ball as well. So he's guessing on a hitter, and he takes it right back through the middle to get it going. He'll lead for a pinch runner to get some speed down there.
You play for a tie at home and a win, Chris. Do you bunt? Here's Valleca pinch running down at first for Hernandez. And here comes Stubbs. Drew tonight. Hit a line drive to center. That sacrifice fly plated in the Reds' first run in the second. Scott Rowland. He doubled in the fifth and then singled in the seventh. Hernandez does his job. Let's see how Dusty plays it. In tied at third is Alvarez.
He's going to bunt, and I'll tell you why. Because he's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, career versus Hanrahan. Dusty Baker, before every ball game, takes a lot of time to fill out his own little scouting card. You know, the amount of numbers and statistics available to baseball teams now is just overwhelming. But he takes time to fill out his own, so he knows at a glance what a certain guy has done off a certain pitcher. And he knows it's been a mismatch, Hanrahan over Stubbs. And that's why I think you're going to see him bunt here.
He gets it down. They're going to go to second. The throw will be in time.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Well, in the long run, this may benefit the Reds because now you got stolen base capability down at first.
Now, a real benefit would be a runner at second base in scoring position.
See if Stubbs can get there. Will Dusty steal him?
One of the disappointments really is that Drew Stubbs, even though he's practiced it a lot and worked at it, has not in a game been able to take that bunting ability and put it to use. But I can tell you this, bunting a ball off of Joel Hanrahan is no easy task. When you got a guy with the movement that he has and he's throwing in the mid-90s, it's tough.
Well, Chris Heisey will come up for the first time. He's hitting in the 8th spot. Ryan Hannigan has moved into the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot due up next. That's in there for a strike. Heisey, 7 homers, 15 knocked in. The Reds, of course, in those comeback wins and last at bat wins, have done it in every way imaginable. They've done it with home runs. They've done it with stolen bases. They've done it with base hits. See if Stubbs will get the green light. And Hanrahan, for most of this year, not only has led this bullpen in strikeouts, he's led this team in strikeouts. That's out of the bullpen. Averaging 12 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Well, they've pitched a lot of innings. And this matchup has happened before. Chris Heisey has faced Joel Hanrahan. And what we talked about with Pittsburgh, so many innings out of the bullpen. They lead the league in that category.
Down to third. It's a fair ball. Into the corner. Here comes Stubbs around second. He's coming to third. Barry's going to send him. He'll come around third and score. It's a tie game. Chris Heisey is delivered. Drew Stubbs' speed pays off, and we are tied.
Well, for Chris Heisey, a young man who was not healthy enough to start the ball game, he is healthy enough to be the hero. And he gets that ball right down the third base line. He hits it hard by the third baseman, Alvarez. No chance of even flagging that baby down. And coming around all the way from first base is Drew Stubbs, and we've got a tied Wago.
And still only one out with Heisey down at second. And here comes Hannigan to pinch hit in the pitcher's spot. Well, I got them on their feet. 36,000. Showing some love for the guy at second, Chris Heisey. Walker trying to hold Heisey as tight as he can. Can the Reds do it again? Heisey, good speed off second. Boy, if there's one guy who's certainly turned around his season from a year ago in clutch situations, it's this guy. Only 11 runs batted in all of last year. Ryan Hannigan has come up with some big hits all season long, and now 36 runs batted in. He'd love to get number 37 in right here. Hit deep left center field. Going back, McCutchen. He's calling, tagging at second is Heisey, but he'll hold. Heisey went a third of the way, then tried to get back and tag. couldn't get back there in time. So now it'll be up to Brandon Phillips. Hannigan gave it a good ride, but not enough to get Heisey over. So here's Brandon. Phillips on a roll in August until he was hit on the right hand on the 25th of August in San Francisco. The hand's still not 100%, and his average is suffering. He's down to 283. Trying to get a run in. Walker, who had been planted about 10 feet from the second base bag, now moves back to his normal second base spot. So that hole on the right side no longer there. Hanrahan checking the runner at second. 0-2. Heisey checks the shortstop and the second baseman behind him. And the dirt, Domet blocks it. Domet started the day in right. He's caught 84 games for John Russell this year. He struggled throwing out runners. He's had difficulty with balls in the dirt. One of the reasons why they traded for Chris Snyder. Two and two. They started with applause for Pete Rose. They're hoping it'll be applause for Brandon Phillips here in the ninth.
A lot of them have stayed.
2-2. Yes, missing. We'll go full 3-2.
Boy, he is keeping that slider on him, isn't he? Down and away and down and away.
Phillips, one of the few Reds that's had success against Hanrahan. 3 for 8 and a homer against him. Same old story. 3-2. There's ball 4. Well, if you're just joining us, Cincinnati time. The witching hour of 10 o'clock. Great to have you with us at Great American Ballpark. George Grant, Chris Welch. The story here, the Reds led at one point 3-0. The Pirates scored 4 in the 8th to take a 4-3 lead. The Reds have tied it at 4, and here comes Ray Searage out to talk to Hanrahan and just slow him down a bit.
I think he said it exactly right there, George. He got so excited. It seemed like he was really flying open with his front side, trying to throw his slider harder than he can, trying to overpower his fastball. And it's one thing to go out there and say, hey, take a deep breath and take it easy, but it's a completely different thing for a guy like Hanrahan to put it into practice. Even veteran relievers who are used to being in the ninth inning can get wrapped up in the emotion, the situation. You got a ballpark here, 35,000. Everybody's on their feet. They've seen so many come from behind wins. And they're looking for one more. Not an easy place to be if you're Hanrahan.
Here's Miguel. Cabrera is 1 for 2, rather Orlando Cabrera. He's 1 for 2 against Hanrahan. Swing and a miss. Tonight, Cabrera reached on an error, then was picked off. Bounced to the pitcher, lined to first, and singled to right. Good speed at second in Heisey. God evens at 1-1. center field. It'll stay in the park, though. McCutchen back. He'll squeeze it. We're going extras in Cincinnati. The Reds get one to tie. To the 10th we go. We're tied at 4. Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. Well, Chris, you've been here for most of them. We go to the 10th inning. We're tied at 4. And in extra innings this year, the Buccos are 4-6. The Reds now over 500 at 10-7.
Well, you know, it's a lot harder to win on the road in extra innings for the obvious reason of you have to continually hold the opposition down. You have to get 6 outs for every 3 outs the opposition gets in extra innings. Ryan Hannigan moves behind the plate, and Francisco Cordero will come onto the mound and pitch at top of the 10th inning. Had a rough outing last night, probably trying to make it right tonight.
Hannigan, who came in the 9th spot, stays there. Hop down the left field line, reaching in and squeezing it. Great job. Roland hauls it in. And he fended off the effort of Cabrera, too.
Tell you what, when this ball went off the bat, I didn't think there was a prayer that it would stay even close enough. No Bartman down there tonight.
And it keeps Cedeno off the bases. He has 12 stolen bases. So Roland squeezes it. There's one away. And here comes Bowker for his second at bat. He doubled in that rally in the 8th inning and stayed in the game in right. High in the air to right. This will stay in the park. Kind of reminds you of Greg Colburn a little bit at the plate, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think he's got a little more power than that, and I think he got that ball right out of the end of the bat.
So 2 quick outs for Coco. Cordero came in the 9th yesterday. And the game ended up being tied, fortunately for the Reds. Arthur Rhodes came in to get the final out before the Reds eventually won the game in extras. There's Brandon Moss. What a comeback year he had. Struggled last year all year long here at the major league level after coming over from the Red Sox. Went down to Indianapolis and led the league in runs batted in. In fact, he was the first Indianapolis Indian to lead the league in runs batted in since one of your old buddies, Champ Summers.
Wow.
Way back when.
There, yeah.
And you talk about confidence, something he struggled with last year, but he got his stroke back with the tutelage of Jeff Branson, the former Red, now the hitting instructor down there. And if you look the way he sets up, those of you that have followed his career, he was more wide open. Then they closed him up when he first came over here from the Red Sox, and now he's back wide open again. Easy grounder, easy out. 1, 2, 3. Reds looking for runs. One is all it'll take. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger meal deal, which includes a full-size adult hot dog, a 16-ounce Coke, and during the homestand, delicious Quaker Chewy granola bars, all for just $7. Kroger and the Reds teaming up. That's just an appetizer for Jesse Jackson, isn't it?
Just to get him going a little bit.
There comes the guy who's done it all year for the Reds as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. Joey's looking to end a funk for him, and the Reds are looking for a run to win it. And it'll be lefty against lefty.
Justin Thomas is the new pitcher. 4th time he's been up for the Pirates this year, and he just was recalled on Tuesday. He was a closer down in Indianapolis, or one of them anyway. He had 4 saves down there and went 5-0 in 40 games with their AAA franchise.
He did face Joey once earlier this year. 0 for 1 is Votto against him. And Joey, another 0 for night tonight, looking for a base hit. He walked his last time up. Big breaking ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Joey tonight struck out, walked, lined out, and walked. So officially 0 for 2 and 0 for his last 10. In the corner for a strike. Left field going back. We're going home. Joey's done it again. Joey Votto, a walk-off home run, the first of his career, and it gives the Reds a 7-game lead in the Central. Drink it in, Reds fans. 36,000 plus, almost all of them stayed riveted to their seats because their MVP was coming to bat in the 10th, and they're still on their feet. Here comes the curtain call, and here comes Joey Votto's first career walk-off homer. Chris, what a dandy.
I'll tell you what, this guy just does not surprise you. You almost expect it. He's been a hero so many times. He understates himself. But when the game is on the line and he is challenged, he's one of the best around.
Here's another look at Votto's 33rd homer, his first walk-off.
Now Thomas gets the ball up, and like he has done so many times this year, Joey Votto goes the other way. Look at the look of determination in his eyes as the pitcher's on its way. He looks at the pitcher, looks at the ball, and says, you know what? Game over. And as that ball went into the left field stands for a home run, the crowd began to shout, MVP, MVP. And by the time he got to home, they were singing it. The Reds are waiting for him. And another walk-off, come from behind win for this Reds ball club. They do it all the time.
41 comeback wins. Another win in their last at bat, their 21st. Joey Votto's first career walk-off. And guess what, Reds fans? Enjoy it, because after all those losing seasons, the Reds are guaranteed a winning season. Coming up, Reds Live with Jim Day, as the Reds have won it 5-4 and lead by 7.